11 billion. Fiscal hemorrhage. You remember we were told that we are changing from NHIF to SHA because the system, we had people who are
more secure.
More secure. More secure, 11 billion. This system was procured. The owner of this system is David Ndii and the wife. David Ndii. You know, it is in public. Go.
Actually, I don't have that knowledge.
No, that's why you invited me. That's why you invited me to disseminate such knowledge.
Yes. And there's evidence to support what you're saying.
Go look at the company that owns that system. Look at the CR12. You'll get the wife to David Ndii. He's a director.
Okay. Is she the only director?
No, but she's part of that, and you see that she's part of that. So this 11 billion.
No, I'm not being a doozy because you know what Mheshimiwa is trying to say.
No. Mheshimiwa knows me well.
3 months ago,
yes,
we were taken through some PR stunt by Adel Duale, the DCI, and the IG. Adel Duale came with some files that he's investigating.
Files? Political files?
Yes. Handing over to the IG. We have not had a single file.
A single case?
A single file conclusively, investigation conclusively being done. Today, instead of people looking for these 11 billion, they should just ask Adel Duale to call the wife to Ndii, so that Ndii briefs his boss. This money is shared between Adel Duale. He knows where this money is. The wife to David Ndii, let them tell us how these economic advisories come from David Ndii. How is it a coincidence that he advises and then the wife wins the tender for the system and then the system loses at 11 billion shillings?
The system, and most of these 11 billion were fraudulent claims, and I'll explain to you one by one which categorization, and the system picked, and it went through different validation review, clinical reviews, and we are not paying. So we know the facilities, whether they are public, private, and this happened during the initial transition period between the former defunct NHIF to SHA. For many of the fraudulent facilities that have milked NHIF since independence migrated to SHA, but little did they know that, and I want to make clear to the people of Kenya, going forward, every coin of a Kenyan he has paid for his healthcare insurance, if you steal it, the system will detect you, will flag you, and the government will prosecute you. While you are away, I delivered 118 files to the DCI of fraud facilities. 24 of them have been investigated by the DCI, prosecuted by the ODPP, and among those are 2 former CEOs of Social Health Authority, and a number of accountants and senior officials of Social Health Authority, directors and owners of the 24 facilities, and the investigation is going on. I think the DCI must be submitting another 30 plus this week.
The confluence between geography, that geographical area, the way just the landscape is, the ecological zone, the lack of rain, the continuous lack of investment in infrastructure in those areas. That is the combination that creates the problem that we're all pointing out. Why is it that we are not capturing water when it is raining so that we're able to use it in the dry period?
Na mimi naomba siku moja Muislamu awe rais wa Kenya. One day God will answer kwamba Muislamu lazima awe Mkenya na awe Muislamu na awe rais wa Kenya, aongoze bila kushuhudia mambo ya ukabila. Vilivyo nyinyi mlimchagua Mkristo anaitwa David Ndakwa. Si mlimchagua yeye? Kwani mlikuwa mnazingatia ukabila kweli? Leo mnasema ukabila isikwe ama iendelee kunenepa katika Kenya. Ikomesho sio? Mko tayari kusika ukabila?
You have the most clueless PS in the Ministry of Education. Most clueless. He only sits in Nairobi and has no idea what goes on the ground. Get out of your offices in Nairobi, go to the ground, deal with the problems there. Then challenge this house, then to get the 48 billion shillings for you from the budget, and we'll deal with the problem once and for all. Yeah? Under your ministry, you have the school feeding program. Why don't you get the resources from the school feeding program to ensure there is food in the schools, and also gazette the maximum amount that should be charged in a school for the lunch program? You have no reason for a grade 6 student in Kikuyu Township Primary School to be wearing a uniform like the one I'm wearing, then because they are moving to grade 7 to go and change uniform. What happens in other civilized countries is that people just put on a different tie or a badge on your chest that will cost you 5 or 10 shillings. Why are we subjecting teachers to changing uniform, feeding the corruption cartels by teachers and head teachers in our schools with the cartels that are producing uniform? And that is why CS, it took none other than the president to intervene on the matter of school uniform. You should not subject the president to be the one to be intervening on school uniform. It is you and your peers who should be doing that.
We have told the IG that before we come back on the 16th, those members of that unit need to be arrested and disarmed and taken to court, and he must give that assurance. And we have said that if this situation continues after 16th, hatutakuwa na lingine la kufanya ni kuitisha maandamano katika Jamhuri ya Kenya until Kipchumba Murkomen is removed from office, IG Kaja is removed from office, and the 2 DIGs are removed from office, and the National Police Service can be put back into order.
Tu wanajaribu hivi na vile, pengine wakimua Rigathi, pengine watu waone maisha lazima endelee. We said it and we repeat, if you touch any national leader and assassinate any national leader a few months to the next general election, this country will never be the same again. But we love this country. Kenya, we reminded the police service, is a constitutional democracy. The role of the Kenyan police is to be impartial, not to take instructions from William Ruto. The letters we have dispatched are addressed to even William Ruto himself as a chair of the National Security Council. We think he should, if he was to take his responsibility seriously, would even convene a National Security Council meeting. The IG is the first respondent. We have put the others there. Hiyo list mutapatiwa kwa media, and we are saying this matter. Kenya is not any other country anywhere in the world. Kenya will never be allowed to be Haiti. We have said if the police are working hand in hand with goons, there will be no difference as far as Kenyans are concerned. Therefore, the culture of goonism must end.
If we let this party go, it will be a big letdown to my brother. It will be a big letdown to the people of Kenya who rely on this party to expose and espouse the issues of justice for the country. This party is built on a very strong foundation. It is not a party rejareja kama zingine ambazo zinaletwa wakati wa uchaguzi, zinakuja na zinaenda. Kwa sababu zinaletwa tu, kwa sababu kuna watu wanataka kupata pesa hapo na pale, kusanya pesa. Alafu uchaguzi ikiisha, zinaletwa kwa mfuko. Hii chama yetu is not like that. We have decided as a party to move on. Our party leader Raila Amolo Odinga left us in a broad-based government arrangement. This broad-based government arrangement is up to 2027. We are going to continue in this broad-based arrangement. But as we continue in this broad-based arrangement, as a party, we cannot just sleep saying we are waiting for 2027. And you all know that 2027 is an election year. It is a year where we have to go for election. And when we go for election, we must prepare. We cannot just go empty-handed that we have not prepared. That is why, in their wisdom, the Central Committee of the party sat down and gave me a mandate to start negotiations with like-minded parties, starting with our current partners.
This week, power was tested in the corridors of leadership, economies shook under pressure, and the voices of ordinary citizens demanded to be heard. From breaking decisions in high office to protests in the streets, from moments of triumph to tragedies that stopped us in our tracks. These are the headlines that shaped our week. And beyond the noise, we search for what really matters, the connections, the context, the stories behind the stories. Introducing Patricia Wayoa, and this is your weekly news roundup on Radio Generation, where every headline has a heartbeat and every moment counts.
Yes, good evening. Good evening from wherever you are watching Radio Generation from. Good afternoon. Kuna wengine by the way ni good afternoon as we speak right now.
At the same time, good morning too.
Yes, and good morning. Yes. So from wherever you are watching, this is the Generation Report starting from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. right here on Radio Generation, the home of hard truths and bold insights. Remember, if you want to listen to us on a frequency right here in Nairobi and its environs, do so on 88.8. If you want to do so all the way from Mombasa and its environments, do so on 90.7. Then kule Garissa na maeneo ya kwake kule 89.5, you'll be able to follow the conversations that are about to happen right here on the Generation Report. And today, like we had told you that this year we are going to do things quite differently. So today I am joined by one of my colleagues, and this is not the first time that she's hosting the show. Yes, Brenda Soki. Yes. So she's gonna say hi to you, and then now we can get into our conversations. But remember to follow these conversations also on our social media platforms. Radio Gen KE, that is on Twitter. Yes, you are also able to follow Twitter, which is now called X.
X handle.
Yes, you can be able to follow us there. On YouTube, Radio Gen KE, Facebook, Radio Gen KE, and also on TikTok, we are there completely. Tuko full kabisa. Mm-hmm. And the beautiful thing is that we are digital first.
Very important.
Yeah, we are digital first. So wherever you are, if you are using a gadget that uses internet, be sure that you can follow the conversations right here. Watu wa pwani, kuna watu wa pwani wameniambia leo wanategea show kweli kweli. Mm-hmm. Asanteni sana na karibu sana. Mkiingia pale kwenye Facebook, ukiingia pale kwenye YouTube, unaweza kufuatilia mazungumzo ambayo tutakuwa tunafanya hapa usiku wa leo tukiwa naye Brenda Soki na wengine wageni wengine ambao watakuwa wanatusubiria. Brenda, how was your week?
Quite fun, quite interesting. Thank you so much, Trish, for hosting me once again on the Generation Reports. And this is a show whereby we do a lot of news roundup, what's happened majorly during the week, major stories of the week. And on this special sitting, it's my pleasure to also note that we'll be having our important guests that they'll be joining us virtually. I think maybe ulikuwa umeweza kusahau. So on this first hour, we'll be having a virtual guest, and then on the second hour of the show is when we'll be having guests here in the studio. Meanwhile, remember that you're tuning into 88.8 FM. This is Radio Generation for those who are following on terrestrial, and kwa wale ambao wanatufuatilia kwa mitandao ya kijamii, vile mwenzangu amesema, tunapatikana kwa kila all social media handles. Back to you, Trisha.
Wiki imekuwa na mambo mengi sana hii wiki, ukiangalia kutokana na matukio ambayo yalifanyika pale wiki ambayo iliyopita. Matukio yalikuwa ni mengi sana yalifanyika, and especially on Sunday. Kumbuka kwamba kuna attack, kuna some violence that happened to the former deputy president Rigathi Gachagua in a certain church in Othaya. And it is something that
Witima Church.
Is it AIC? Not AIC, but some name there. Peace is something.
PCA, okay.
Yes, with Pale V. And things have been, let me say, on fire this week, because we've seen also the opposition coalition. The United Opposition. Yes, it's a coalition of many parties. So they marched to the to Kanja's office, to the police, saying that they want action to be taken to those who were involved, because apparently, looking at the videos that we saw on the attack, we saw some government vehicle, apparently, allegedly, and then kutumia tear gas. Most of the time, tear gas is associated with the government, and mapolisi ambao pia walionekana kule. So timu ya Gachagua ama upande wa opposition wamekwenda kule kwa polisi kusema kwamba lazima hii kesi ifuatiliwe. So hiyo ni mojawapo ya story ambazo zimefanyika this week. Zikiwemo pia story nyingi sana. Kwa upande wako kuna story gani?
A lot of stories that really make headlines, starting with the recently, is the judicial ruling about the impeachment of the former deputy president, Rigathi Gachagua. So I think tutakuwa na machache ya kuongelelea concerning the judicial and the Gachagua court things, and then about the SHA, the social health insurance.
Pesa
zimepotea.
Yes.
So atujui in which context pesa zimepotea. Atujui kama imeenda kwa mfuko ya mtu binafsi, ama is it the system kutoka penye pesa inatoka hadi vile nafika kwa hospitali, and
exactly what is happening.
Happening.
Yes,
exactly. And what the cabinet secretary for health alisema jana akiwa kule Naivasha about the 10 billion shillings.
Remember also he was hosted in a local TV station, here in the country.
Yes.
And the same should I say excuse in quotes is what he gave. Explanation, let me just say explanation. Yes, could I do the same explanation that he gave around that a huge amount of money that you are talking about, having
10 billion shillings.
Yes, like hiyo pesa ni mingi. 11 billion shillings. That's quite a lot of money. But anyway, also on another hand, we shall also look at this KDF story. There were some deaths that were reported from the trainings that are done by the KDF.
3 recruits.
Yes, 3 recruits who lost their lives through the training. So that is also something. By the way, actually we can even go ahead and look at this first of all.
Okay.
Masuala ya kufanya yale mazoezi yale, unakumbuka kwamba kabla uende katika mazoezi ya KDF, some of the requirements zenye zimekuwa zikifanyikanga katika hizi recruitment, of course huwa kwanza ni kukimbia. Nadhani kwamba katika kukimbia pia sijui wao wanataka kuangalia your stamina, are you able to withstand, yes, and your fitness, yes. But then now the medical part of it, I'm not quite so sure, because I've never gone to such kind of a training. I'm not so sure, like because this is not the first time that you've had somebody going to the training and then they lose their lives there. This is not the first time, by the way. I remember even a neighbor from our place, there's a young man who also collapsed while undergoing the training of the KDF. So it is something that has been happening. So now I don't know, should we say that pia kabla waingie kule kuna ile kufanyiwa medical test,
of which apart from the physical training, I think medical test is majorly important, because Trish, it is common knowledge that military training is not something which is a walk in the park thing. it is not like when wanafanyaga the prison training, the Kenya police training. Military is largely something which is heavy, and I believe that before they get the recruits, before wakubali the recruits waingie into training centers, the physical fitness exercise is not majorly important. Because why is it that in a period of just 1 week we've lost 3 recruits and from Eldoret? Okay, the question here is it because of a lot of training? The training, is it ni ngumu sana, ama ni kwamba wale walichukuliwa kama recruits kuna kitu hawaku meet the standards? Do they check about their heart problem and what is that wanaweza wakacheck? Majorly it is heart problems, ndio au wanakuwa they are taken to go and to for recruits. The recruits, do they meet the standards? Are they fit? Are they medically fit, or they're not medically fit? That's the question. Or if at all they are medically fit, okay, kuna kuaga na let me call it as a rumor, the papers ule wanachukuliwa through the back door. Do they meet the standards or not? I think that is the same question that we are supposed to ask ourselves, and also the country, maybe kwa msikilizaji ambaye anaweza kuwa na maono 1-2 to say about this. And I need the trainers also need some psychology and ability to observe changes in every recruit. Wakati recruit anakuja anakuambia I'm not feeling well, these trainers ni hatua gani ambayo wanachukulia? Do they just tell them you can push ahead now that wewe ni military recruit, unaweza vumilia, can you sustain, ama ni wanachukua hatua ya dharura, mtu apeleke hospitali and all that? Because kulingana na the letter yenye iliweza kutumwa, I have the letter here, yenye iliweza kutumwa from the military communication team, ilisema kwamba waliweza kuanza kupata first aid from the whatever the ground. So after wameona kwamba the ground, the first aid haiwezi ikawasaidia, that's when walikuwa wakapelekwa wapi? To further medication. So the question here is, do these trainers really, do they have the ability to observe the changes in every recruit? And then maybe something that we'll talk about is that while the military recruit is signed for this, they are human too, and the trainer should also listen to them and encourage any issue that is getting beyond any more tech to be communicated. And then another thing, Trisha, is it is worth noting that while defense and fitness skills are very necessary, they kick in naturally and very powerfully in real danger. Sometimes not even exactly one is trained. Yes.
Wow, I like how you've looked at, you've broken down the entire story, to let the listener understand what really happens. And I'm going to just join you in encouraging that the government, as they do this kind of trainings, they need also to introduce that part whereby people can be checked. Yeah, they can be checked in terms of their health, because most of the time you realize that these people who go and get these kind of problems, maybe somebody has had an existing condition like heart problem, kidney problem, or something. Yeah, so basically it is quite important. But do you know that these recruits, Trisha, they're forced to, okay, not forced, let me not use the term forced because that is part of the training. Wanatakikana to walk more than 30 kilometers, and not just normal walks, wanabeba mizigo and all that, and these things are heavy. What are you saying?
Huyu ni mtu mwenye hajazoea, maybe amezoea the normal walks, the 5 kilometers, 10 kilometers ikienda sana. So, and it is not that hii ni kitu ina happen once in a while. This is something that unaamkia unafanya, and maybe it is also part of the routine. It's training yenye nafanyika daily. You get? Yes.
What I know about paramilitary training, it's not a joke. It's not a walk in the park. Most of the time when you see people, you see a police who is able to withstand different conditions. Because remember, these people are being trained to, they protect the country, they protect us, they protect property, they protect everything. And remember, most of the time, of course, the protection and most of the time, of course, will happen during those unexpected restricted times, like for example in the evening, at night. Again, when you talk about like protecting the country, like against maybe such people like the terrorists, it's not a walk in the park. So it is something that people need to have that endurance, and that is why the training is quite that tough. And not only, by the way, on Kenya's military alone. Look at
according to history, Trish.
Yes.
The first military training happened in the year 1983. And the very year kuna wale pia ambao waliweza kupoteza maisha.
Yes.
So from the year 1983 to now 2026, Trisha, I think there are things that the trainers need to consider before getting the recruits. Moving way forward to avoid hizi kifo zenye zina happen hapa katikati. Then another very important question.
Yes.
After we recruit ameza kupoteza maisha, God forbid, what is the family going to be compensated?
Well, I think that is okay. It's a legit question. And of course, the government said that they are looking into the compensation issues and planning of how they will be buried and so forth. So it is something majorly, the government is gonna get involved in. Yeah.
Okay, hopefully.
Okay, tukirudi maswala ya tukiangalia pale maswala ya SHA. Wow. Let me play this first before we...
Okay.
Yes.
We have introduced a robust, transparent framework for overseas referrals that put the patient first and protect our resources. If you want to pay for yourself, it's okay. But under SHA, it must fall within the 36. The only conditions which the law allowed us. We have also introduced a very strict vetting protocols. Every referral is now subjected to a peer review by the claims office.
Okay, you've heard, and of course I wanted a clip about when he was explaining what happened to the amount of money that Kenyans are looking at. We are looking at 11 billion shillings.
Actually, it is 12 billion.
12, yes, 12.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah, that's quite a lot of money to lose at such a point in time as a country when we are seeing things falling apart because we do not have finances. We are talking of a country that is spending 80% of its almost 80% of its income, of its revenue to paying debt. So having this kind of of a loss, which of course, the reason why Kenyans are asking those tough questions is because, first of all, when the CS came in the introduction of SHA, I remember he said that the reason why they are introducing SHA, they are closing down a working NHIF is because they said there were a lot of problems, and especially there was a lot of corruption in NHIF. So they said bringing in a SHA is gonna close all this, because they were being asked and they said now the cartels that are in.
Do you really think the loopholes of maybe the to break down maybe whatever that you said, the corruption or whatever that was happening in NHIF? Do you really think wali close those two potholes?
That's why
kuchukua pesa from NHIF to SHA.
No, that's why we are saying first of all, the reason they said they are switching from that system, of course, the first reason they said was to be able to, because they said this one is all inclusive. It is gonna cater for everyone. Yeah, they said now in terms of service, SHA ndio mambo yote. You get, because I even remember the question of the contribution that people are supposed to make, saying that this one understands yule mtu wa pale chini, SHA understands yule mtu wa pale chini, and even in terms of access, because they claimed that NHIF was for the rich. NHIF was for the rich. They said that if you are not, we kama hauna pesa, you have not been able to pay, you cannot access services, health services in our country. And in the introduction of this, there is the basic level whereby SHA caters, whether bora tu umeregister as a Kenyan. you can go between level 1 and level 3. You can be able to get services for free.
Bila kulipia?
If you are registered.
Is it really happening?
I don't know. Because
it's not happening,
I
Trisha.
pay. So I don't know. For that one, let me just be honest. I am not so sure because I know I have paid. So I don't know. But now, the point
would you
is,
try?
Yes.
You just register, because according to vile unafuatilia ile karatasi ya kulipia SHA, kuna ukishamaliza kuweka what is supposed, umeweka your details and everything, hapa mwisho kuna mali ya kusema kwamba you are supposed to pay a certain amount of money. So by saying that ukisha register you are not supposed to pay, honestly that's a big lie. Yes, even in dispensaries lazima ulipie. So
that is
SHA, yes, and I think the list is paying around 300 or 200 monthly.
I don't know.
The list.
Yeah, after the evaluation, I think there was an evaluation, but with the NHIF, I know people used to pay like a minimum of 500 shillings. But this one, they said, provided that you have registered. So I'm telling you why they said that we needed to switch to SHA from NHIF, because so many people say that NHIF used to work. It was working. So the reasons they gave was that, first of all, SHA will be able to cater for everyone, including those who are not employed, those who cannot pay their contribution. That's why they said from level 1 to level 3, they said it is free, the hospitals. But now when you go to these other hospitals, you'll be charged. So that was one of the reasons. Another reason they gave was that
it was a promise that is not working on the ground.
Sawa. So the other reason that they gave was, of course, saying that the mismanagement of funds in SHA, saying that there were a lot of loopholes that SHA came to close on NHIF. So they said there were hospitals that were launching claims that were not right.
The same thing has happened with SHA.
So that is why we are asking.
Some hospitals yenye wana fill in details of a patient that are not correct just to get money from SHA, from the government. So I think I can call it a blatant lie from whoever said, or rather let me say the government, saying that the transition from NHIF to SHA under the health sector reforms, kwamba we are going to close the loopholes. I think it is like we moved from the frying pan to the fire itself.
Okay.
Honestly speaking, yes. Trisha.
Okay. I like it.
Yeah, that's
I like
true.
It. Yeah, and those are the questions that
it's not even stable. SHA itself, it's not even stable. Kuna some hospitals wanakwambia bado SHA, pesa za SHA hazijaingia. Ama some hospitals wanakwambia they only do the insurance, but when it comes to SHA wanakwambia kwamba it is not going to cover some dawa, haita cover some dawa because of ABCD. Ama it will only cover for inpatients, ina cover bedding only. Why not isikave the whole treatment? Why not bedding only?
Well, my question is just about the functionality of SHA, which I felt like if they said that they are coming in to close all those loopholes, they needed to. We should not be hearing this just I don't know how many years after its introduction, because this is a problem that we said we used to experience when there was NHIF. So now that we are talking of SHA, which they felt like, how it was presented, it looked like a very perfect system. A very perfect scheme that we as a country, once we run it, we're gonna save a lot of billions of money. So now maswali bado
SHA iko na a lot of procurement irregularities from the tenders zenye zilikuwa awarded to whatever that was supposed to do, to violation of public procurement laws, to single sourcing of the secretaries, the chairman, the chairperson, and all that. My question is, was it really done in the right way? Why was there mbona kulikuwa na what should I call an easier transition from NHIF to SHA?
Let's say that the process was hastened.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Why?
Your process, because they said I remember us asking whether the government should have just considered doing this in phases. You understand? Yeah, not just
they start with the level 6
not
hospital
just
to
migrating.
level 5.
Yeah, not just migrating,
moving the whole thing at once.
Yes, the whole system at once. And again, I remember questions were raised about some fee there. I remember there's a fee of 50 shillings that people were asking, what is this meant for? It was a question that Kenyans, it was a concern, because let me tell you, with 50 shillings being deducted from all these Kenyans who are part and parcel of the scheme, that's
like let's say for 40 million Kenyans.
That's quite a lot of money, which people say that it is benefiting a single person, the host of this system. You get? Yeah, so bado tunabaki bila maswali. Ingawaje niliona kwamba waziri alijitokeza na akizungumza kule, akasema mambo tofauti, akijaribu kujielezea kwamba hizi ni baadhi ya shida ambazo zinatokana na systems. Yeah, alisema kwamba hizi ni baadhi, and most of them actually alisema kwamba ni kwa sababu ya zile hospitali ambazo zina launch claims za uongo.
Is it interest or political influence? So I think there is a need for stronger accountability framework in future public health reforms. Trisha, juu kama itaendelea hivi, amekuwa grilled and at the moment 12 billion shillings is missing, then I think a lot is going to miss. 12 is just peanuts. Exactly.
Well, I think I have somebody online that is on our Google Meet. By the way, if you're outside there, we usually also have the Google Meet whereby you are able to send in your contributions. We give you an opportunity to also participate in this conversation that we are making here. And I see there's one Okeo Rose all the way from Rongo University.
Okay.
Yes. I'm going to give you, Rose, an opportunity to say, to contribute to this topic that we are talking about, and this is about the loss of the 12 billion shillings. Yes, I don't know whether you can hear us, Okeo.
Yes, nawasikiza vizuri sana.
Rose, tuambie hii pesa ambayo imepotea, nyinyi kama because I understand you are a student of that university, you will introduce yourself as you tell us how are you receiving this kind of news, and what do you think as a country we need to do?
Okay, my name is Okeo Rose. I'm a student from Rongo University. I'm pursuing BA in Political Science and Public Administration, and I'm now a finalist. So, Trisha, I feel like at this point we have to be honest with ourselves as a country. And we've heard the president speak about Singapore, about efficiency, about development and strong institutions. And there's nothing wrong with aspiration, honestly. Every developing country needs a vision, but vision without integrity will always be fiction. And you cannot talk about becoming Singapore when corruption is still treated as a minor inconvenience rather than a national emergency. And at this particular case, we are talking about health sector. And health is not a side issue when it comes to development. It is central, and no country develops while its healthcare system is still bleeding. That is why the SHA scandal is still so disturbing. The recent billions that have been lost, it is so disturbing. And we are talking about billions of shillings meant for public health care, now surrendered by allegations of mismanagement. It is surrendered by allegations of fraudulent claims and weak oversight. This money is meant for patients. This money is meant for mothers, for children, for cancer patients, and not balance sheets. When health funds are abused, people don't just lose money, they will always lose their lives. And you see the NADCO report that has been a debate for the last week. It acknowledges the corruption as a core problem. It talks about accountability. It talks about transparency and strengthening institutions. So on paper, that is encouraging, but Kenyans are asking a very basic question: how is corruption actually being punished? At the moment, corruption feels like a sham. It feels like a joke. And we suspend institutions, issue statements, reshuffle offices, But what are the consequences? What are the convictions? Where is personal responsibility? So this is the difference between Kenya and Singapore. Singapore did not develop because it had better speeches. It developed because corruption carried real, painful consequences, fast investigations, tough laws, and zero tolerance. And public officials feared corruption more than they feared politics. In Kenya, corruption is still negotiable. It is still survivable. And as long as that remains the case, no amount of reform language will save us. So the SHA scandal exposes a deeper truth. We do not lack policies. We lack enforcement. We do not lack agendas. We lack courage. And until corruption becomes genuinely costly to the individual, not just embarrassing form announce. Yes, that is my...
Okay, so now the other question, Rose.
The SHA scandal.
Okay, Rose. The other question is, do you think the issues that SHA came to address, I mean the failures of NHIF, do you think SHA is really addressing them, or ndio tumeingia sasa kwa frying pan? I mean tumeingia kwa moto kabisa.
My issue with SHA, honestly, is the corruption scandal. And SHA came in to close the loopholes. SHA came in to minimize on the corruption because NHIF, it was so corrupt. And that's why we had to transit to SHA. And honestly, SHA also came to better the healthcare sector. Juzi nimetibiwa na SHA. I cannot say ni mbaya sana. Nimetibiwa vizuri, nikapewa madawa. But when it comes to the corruption bit, SHA has not been able to manage that. And we really have to manage that if we are really talking about Singapore.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your contribution, Rose. Don't go far. We are still continuing with this conversation. Yeah, so that is those are the views of our contributor, who is a student, still and a student.
I think Rose ameongelea jambo la maana sana about corruption in SHA. Don't you think that these senior officials need to be done and they need to be accountable of the 12 billion shillings zenye zimepotea?
They should, of
Don't
course.
you think?
They should. And of course, you know, the person that is being held responsible, of course, is the CS, who is Aiden Duale, is the one who is heading the ministry, you see. So he's the first one who should be held to account. And again, after we hold him to account, it is him now to go down. It is him now to go down in the ministry to the hospitals to ensure that we get a report and we get those accountable. And actually said, by the way, that some of these hospitals have already been, some of them have already been prosecuted, I think, or something. Yeah, so we are waiting to see.
The same CS ndio mwenye alisema jana hayuko aware. He's not aware of where the 12 billion shillings zimeenda wapi.
So we have a long way to go. As a country, I think we really have a long way to go.
Thank you. Yeah. Yes. I'm not in a position to say more about that. So I think we leave it at that moment. But maybe in our next hour, ukiwa na guest, I think, and Rose akiwa online too.
Yes.
Anaweza akatuambia more about that.
True. True, yeah, because we shall be having some guests in the studio. Also, they will be able to participate. And also, to the viewers outside there on our social media platforms, that is at Radio Gen KE, on X, on Facebook, on YouTube. You can as well put in your opinions, your views, your comments right there. We will be able to read them as we continue with the conversations right here at the Generation Report that comes every Saturday from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Yes. So what is the other thing that you are supposed to
discuss? It is about the judicial ruling on Gachagwa's impeachment case. Yes. I think the ruling exposed how legal processes are often misunderstood. Mengi ameweza kuongelelewa about it is something that is politically motivated, and some things like that. And I think by dismissing both Gachagwa's application and that of the National Assembly, the court essentially refused to take shortcuts.
Shortcut? Why do you call it a shortcut?
I'll come to that. Yes. It declined to terminate the case prematurely, and also instead it allowed it to proceed to a full hearing where all issues can be argued on the merits. And I think it is not about the impeachment, it is about the process. Yes. It is not about Gachagua being impeached as the deputy president. It is about the process that was taken for Gachagua to be impeached as the deputy president.
So that is the concern that Gachagua had. Actually about the panel. Yes. So he said the constitution of that, how it was constituted, that is what was not
the court does not reinstate Gachagua. It does not validate the impeachment process. Ijasema kwamba the impeachment process ilikuwa namna gani. Kama uliweza kupitia that the barua that iliweza kutolewa na the CJ, haikusema about but the impeachment process or something like that. It substantiates the impeachment question that remains unresolved and will be determined later.
Yes. By the High Court, right?
Exactly, yes.
But now, you see, Gachagua was going to court to halt that, to halt the process, because he felt that the panel that was, the constitution of that panel was unconstitutional, according to him. But when you look at the judgment by, I mean, what the CJ said, you look at, let me read what she said. I'm looking at that. Yes. What she said. The ruling said that where is it? I was looking at the dismissing of the Gachagua, the application, and also the National Assembly. They refused. As you said, they refused to take those shortcuts because they felt that the case needed to go up to the end. But they said the issue is, they said they do not have that mandate. I remember they said, yes, this clearing the way for the High Court to proceed with the impeachment proceedings. So the ruling, which was delivered yesterday, the 30th of January 2026, by a 5-judge bench led by Chief Justice C.J. Martha Koome, found that the Supreme Court lacks the jurisdiction to stay High Court proceedings.
Okay, I think in my view, it was just a matter of reinstatement or validation. So by the court saying kwamba it lacks the jurisdiction, vile nilikuwa tu nimekwambia, it is avoiding the shortcuts. You know, matters concerning court and the legal procedures, it doesn't deal with peer pressure or propaganda. It follows.
So is that
it follows the law?
I think Gachagua had his he has all the rights to go. You know, if your case has not been
he has the legal right. He has the legal right.
Yes. If you feel that the High Court has not done whatever you can always go to the Supreme Court. You get. So I felt like he's not being given the justice. I mean, there's not that fairness he's expecting out of this, and that is why he wanted to go to.
You know, Trish, the decision is not about Rigathi Gachagua. The decision is more about the Supreme Court asserting its role as a stabilizing institution. So hatujakataa kwamba Gachagua hana right ya kwenda kotini. Yes, hatujakataa. Ilifanya vizuri sana. It was about validation. Yes.
Okay, so what does this really mean to Gachagua? Actually, now that is the question. What does the outcome of this really mean to Gachagua as we speak right now?
It is more of reality. Yes. Because honestly speaking, we cannot say that atakuwa set free. It will always be a blow to Gachagua. Exactly.
According to you, yeah? Okay.
According to me and according to reality. Okay, assuming right now, okay, the nini seme kwamba koti seme, Gachagua, the process of impeachment and everything was unlawful. Do you think Gachagua will go and work in the office that the president will be his boss?
Is there a problem?
Do you think?
Is there a
no, do you think?
No, if a judgment
kuna uwezekano kwamba Gachagua atakubali a work under the president as the boss. Respect must be there, of which saizi it is altered. Exactly. You know that. Sindio?
Let me ask you a question.
Atafollow. Let me talk first. Working under someone or ukiwa fulani akiwa boss wako lazima kuna rules zenye unafaa kufuata. Sindio?
Yes.
Na I don't want to use that term, but with whatever that is happening at the moment, do you think it will be easy? Do you think the two houses, the Senate and the National Assembly, watakubaliana? The numbers, do you think atakuwa allowed to work in that office? Then what will happen to the now president, the deputy president Kithure Kindiki?
But if he's in office, assuming today
what will happen to
today
him?
The case,
yes,
assuming today the case goes for the favor of Gachagua, sawa,
of which
so
is of which that is equal to hakuna.
Nasema assuming because you are asking if these two people can really work together, and this is what I'm saying. So if today the case worked for his favor, it means that whoever is seated in that office will be there unconstitutionally, right? So you are asking where we will go.
Unconstitutionally or constitutionally?
I'm saying
alikuwa sweared in.
Get me what I'm saying.
All the laws. No,
you
said unconstitutional. I don't think if the president is in office unconstitutionally.
Okay, I think I said whoever is seated in his the office. You asked about the current deputy.
The current DP.
Yes, the current DP. So if today the case worked for the favor of Gachagua, meaning that maybe he was removed unconstitutionally, right? I'm saying if it works that way, then of course whoever is seated in that office will have to vacate, and then Gachagua takes over. That is assuming. And then now you are asking if they can work together. You know, it is if Gachagua gets into office, that is an office, it will be there legally and constitutionally, right? So it doesn't matter whether the president likes him or not. Because I remember even the current president, when he was the deputy president, remember wakati wake akiwa na Uhuru Kenyatta, what was happening?
During the last term.
Yes,
during the second term.
I'm just giving you an example what was happening. It was clear that the sitting president was not for the deputy president who is now our current president, but he was there and he worked. You remember even
the back and forth.
I remember back and forth even worked for him because I can tell you that most of the votes that the current president got, I mean a percentage of it, let me not say most of it, but a good percentage of it came out of that people were like, oh, he like ameteswa kule kwa serikali, this, because now it, you know, during that period it makes you look so humbled, like uko humbled, like
why is it that the same thing happened during
Kenyans
this regime with the current the former DP?
You see now yake ya ule raisi akumfikisha mpaka pale kwamba anatolewa. Somehow yes, they had differences, but somehow I feel like he tried to protect that the procedure should not reach at that point. You get? Because we did not see any impeachment happening during that time. But wakati wa Gachagua kama alikuja akatolewa, na tumesema kama assuming vitu zi work on his favor, it means that he will be there constitutionally and he should work whether mwenzake anapenda ama hapendi. I was just answering to your concern. So so that's how things are this week. To those of you who maybe have missed some of these big news that happened or made headlines in the course of the week. So there was that story of Gachagua's case. There is the SHA, there is the KDF. There are also other many other stories that we will also also handle together with my guests that are already in the studio. And I said we still have people joining on our Google Meet session, because the conversation still continues on the Google Meet. So do not go so far. We are right here. And what is your take, Soki, around Okech Sala? Because this is also a story that has been
okay. Let me put it this way.
Yes.
Don't misquote me. Sawa. Wakati baba anakuja kwa nyumba na anakuja na mtoto na ana introduce huyo mtoto to be part of the family. Wewe kama mtoto, you have no right to ask your father if at all huyo mtoto ni wenu biologically or by adoption. It is the matter of the mother and the father to solve it.
No.
Asante.
No.
No, I think nimeweza kukujibu and I'm avoiding that political side. Yes, no. I just want to be neutral na nimeiweka in a family way.
Putting politics aside, my dad brings somebody home and tells us huyu ni ndugu yenu. You are saying that we do not have a right to ask.
Hata kama mtamkubali shingo upande.
No, are you saying that we do not have a we should not ask?
Baba atakwambia.
Tutauliza
baba atakwambia that's your brother, that's your sister, and that's all. We all know this. This thing has imekuwa ikihappen, Trisha. Yes, we are living in Kenya and it has been happening. Watoto watauliza, yes, watakata, but the truth will be.
So at the end of the family. At the end of the day, you only do that to young children. But when men come of age, when daughters come of age, they will ask you
what will you do?
No. They will not do anything, but they will want a clear. I mean, you need to be clear to them. Yes, this is your sister, this is your brother from another mother, from another father, na ni part of you. So now, wacha kwanza tuache kusema because hapa si biological. Turudi
exactly. Hapa si biological.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Sasa hapo kwa adoption, sindo?
Yes.
Almost everyone in Kenya used to call the late RT Honorable Raila Odinga alikuwa anamuita baba. So I don't think if that's a big deal. I also used to call him Baba.
No, but
is this a big deal?
No, there was a different their relationship was at a different level than you. Wewe unaweza kuwa unamuita baba na pengine hata hujai kutana na yeye. I'm not yeah,
why hitting the nail on my head?
But you saw Okech Sala brought in even photos of him with Baba
dancing.
Okay, today by the today ODM wamekuwa Kericho. I've seen them there. They are in Kericho, and actually I'm surprised that Okech Sala now has become a very good politician. I just listened to his speech.
Even yesterday,
today yes. So nimemsikiza nikaona but in Kenya you can just in just a night you wake up, you are a politician and a good one.
It forces.
Yes, and a good one. Yeah, so I think that is that.
We leave it that way. They solve as the family. Sisi kama watu wa nje tuko ready kupokea jibu yenye watatupatia. Kama familia wanaweza wakasolve.
Actually, I've even seen the son of Oburu. He has also become so active in politics as we speak right now, because it
might be matters of interest.
Of course, politics is interest. Yeah, so we wish them well as they continue.
Thank you. With their family wrangles.
Yes, we are just wishing them well as they continue. But what we would really want to see is what comes out of all this. Okay. And we want to see a party, the ODM that we've always known, because ODM has been known as a party of the people. I'm not rooting for ODM. I'm just saying according to what we've always seen. Because I think because of the leader, Baba used to really fight for the people. So it is a party that has been known for the people. So we have 1 minute.
Hapo kwa ODM as a party for the people, but not by the people.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we have few seconds, and Soki, of course, will be leaving, and we will be joined by other guests, so that now we can continue with the conversations right here. This is the Generation Report. Soki, you can say your goodbye.
Thank you so much, Trish, for hosting me here. Sorry, tumekuwa na very fun moment. Iwa nao imekuwa fupi sana. Looking forward to have more and more of these moments, and to discuss a lot. My name is Soki Brenda. Afternoon anchor, news anchor. Thank you.
Tukutane kwa Swahili.
Inshallah.
Asante sana. The Generation Report continues.
It's 8 o'clock.
Radio Generation, the sound is fine. Pump it up, turn it high all the time. Let the music move you, let's sway. Radio G's got your jam all day.
Radio Generation, the home of urban soul.
The confluence between geography, that geographical area, the way just the landscape is, the ecological zone, the lack of rain, the continuous lack of investment in infrastructure in those areas, that is the combination that creates the problem that we're all pointing out. Why is it that we are not capturing water when it is raining so that we're able to use it in the dry period?
Na mimi naomba siku moja Muislamu awe rais wa Kenya. One day God will answer kwamba Muislamu lazima awe Mkenya, na awe Muislamu na awe rais wa Kenya, aongoze bila kushuhudia mambo ya ukabila. Vilivyo nyinyi mlimchagua Mkristo anaitwa David Ndakwa. Si mlimchagua yeye? Kwani mlikuwa mnazingatia ukabila kweli? Leo mnasema ukabila isikwe ama iendelee kunenepa katika Kenya. Ikomeshwe sio? Mko tayari kusika ukabila?
You have the most clueless PS in the Ministry of Education. Most clueless. He only sits in Nairobi and has no idea what goes on the ground. Get out of your offices in Nairobi, go to the ground, deal with the problems there. Then challenge this house, then to get the 48 billion shillings for you from the budget, and we'll deal with the problem once and for all. Yeah? Under your ministry, you have the school feeding program. Why don't you get the resources from the school feeding program to ensure there is food in the schools, and also gazette the maximum amount that should be charged in a school for the lunch program? You have no reason for a grade 6 student in Kikuyu Township Primary School to be wearing a uniform like the one I'm wearing, then because they are moving to grade 7 to go and change uniform. What happens in other civilized countries is that people just put on a different tie or a badge on your chest that will cost you 5 or 10 shillings. Why are we subjecting teachers to changing uniform, feeding the corruption cartels by teachers and head teachers in our schools with the cartels that are producing uniform? And that is why CS, it took none other than the president to intervene on the matter of school uniform. You should not subject the president to be the one to be intervening on school uniform. It is you and your peers who should be doing that.
We have told the IEG that before we come back on the 16th, those members of that unit need to be arrested and disarmed and taken to court, and he must give that assurance. And we have said that if this situation continues after 16th, hatutakuwa na lingine la kufanya ni kuitisha maandamano katika Jamhuri ya Kenya until Kipchumba Murkomen is removed from office, IG Kaja is removed from office, and the 2 DIGs are removed from office, and the National Police Service can be put back into order.
Tu wanajaribu hivi na vile, pengine wakimua Rigathi, pengine watu waone maisha lazima endelee. We said it and we repeat, if you touch any national leader and assassinate any national leader a few months to the next general election, this country will never be the same again. But we love this country. Kenya, we reminded the police service, is a constitutional democracy. The role of the Kenyan police is to be impartial not to take instructions from William Ruto. The letters we have dispatched are addressed to even William Ruto himself as the chair of the National Security Council. We think he should, if he was to take his responsibility seriously, would even convene a National Security Council meeting. The IG is the first responder. We have put the others there. Hiyo list mutapatiwa kwa media. And we are saying this matter. Kenya is not any other country anywhere in the world. Kenya will never be allowed to be Haiti. We have said if the police are working hand in hand with goons, there will be no difference as far as Kenyans are concerned. Therefore, the culture of goonism must end.
If we let this party go, it will be a big letdown to my brother. It will be a big letdown to the people of Kenya who rely on this party to expose and espouse the issues of justice for the country. This party is built on a very strong foundation. It is not a party rejareja kama zingine ambazo zinaletwa wakati wa uchaguzi, zinakuja na zinaenda. Kwa sababu zinaletwa tu, kwa sababu kuna watu wanataka kupata pesa hapo na pale, kusanya pesa. Alafu uchaguzi ikiisha, zinaletwa kwa mfuko. Hii chama yetu is not like that. We have decided as a party to move on. Our party leader Raila Amolo Odinga left us in a broad-based government arrangement. This broad-based government arrangement is up to 2027. We are going to continue in this broad-based arrangement. But as we continue in this broad-based arrangement, as a party, we cannot just sleep saying we are waiting for 2027. And you all know that 2027 is an election year. It is a year where we have to go for election. And when we go for election, we must prepare. We cannot just go empty-handed that we have not prepared. That is why, in their wisdom, the Central Committee of the party sat down and gave me a mandate to start negotiations with like-minded parties, starting with our current partners.
This week, power was tested in the corridors of leadership, economies shook under pressure, and the voices of ordinary citizens demanded to be heard. From breaking decisions in high office to protests in the streets, from moments of triumph to tragedies that stopped us in our tracks, these are the headlines that shaped our week. And beyond the noise, we search for what really matters: the connections, the context, the stories behind the stories. Introducing Patricia Wayoa, and this is your weekly news roundup on Radio Generation, where every headline has a heartbeat and every moment counts.
And yes, we are right back right here at Radio Generation, 88.8 in Nairobi, 90.7 all the way in Mombasa and its environs, and then 89.5, that is all the way in Garissa and its environs. For those of you who are tuning or watching us online, you're doing so on our Radio Gen KE, that is on X, also on Facebook, YouTube, and also on TikTok. Everywhere we are just right there, and the conversation is now again restarting again because we already have our guests in the studio. Today I am joined by one Linus Okite. He's gonna introduce himself, and also Ken Babu. He's also going to introduce himself. Also on our Google Meet space, I also have Okeo Rose. I also have Professor Tolo. There's also Edwin Shamir, and there's also somebody else who's joining, George Otieno. Yes, and this conversation is going up to 10 p.m. and we are looking at some of the stories that we just looked at with my colleague. But right here, because we have some experts in the house, so they are gonna give us their views, their opinions around those stories that we just talked about. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself, starting with you here, and then to the other side.
Thank you very much, Tricia. I'm Okite Linus. I'm a data analyst by profession. And thank you very much for having us today to have a conversation about the news headlines of the week.
Okay, when you say you're a data analyst, I want to understand that you also do you also analyze political data. And we speak right now, you're going to help us look at some of these data that you're talking about, because I just heard the other day the Speaker of the National Assembly, Wetangula, saying that around 59% of these of these MPs will not see the door to the parliament again come 2027. I don't know
including the speaker himself.
Including himself. Yeah, so that is something that he said. So I want to understand that you're also going to give us some data, because data-driven people are so hard to convince, but they are so convincing themselves because they have data on there. Yes. So yes. So now on this other side, introduce yourself.
Thank you so much, Trish, for having me here once again. Happy New Year. This is my first appearance on this show in 2026. My name is Ken Babu. By profession, I'm a project manager. I'm also a graduate of international relations and diplomacy. So by extension, I'm also a diplomat. Mambo ikaribika na tatua. But I'm also the chairperson of the United Opposition Youth. And we are an alternative government. We are not just an opposition. We are an alternative government, and that's why we keep check on the government of the day to offer alternatives to Kenyans vis-a-vis what the Kenya Kwanza regime is actually giving out to the public, to the citizens. Yeah.
Okay. Yesterday I saw the United Opposition Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka. I also saw Rigathi Gachagua, the DCP leader. I also saw Eugene Wamalwa. I saw the former Interior
Attorney General.
Yes.
Justin Muturi.
Yes, I also saw Matiang'i,
Martha
Karua. All these people coming together.
You also saw Ken Babu.
Yeah, I saw you.
You have to acknowledge that you saw me.
Yes, I saw you. Yeah, so yesterday you marched to the
IG.
To the IG's office.
Yes.
And you said you guys were carrying a memorandum there of all the violations against the former deputy president. That's what you said. Is that what you presented to the IG?
We presented the violation against the former deputy president and Kenyans at large. Because apart from the attacks that have been meted on the DCP party leader, Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, the Kenya Kwanza regime is on record of seriously violating the rights of Kenyans at large. So our memoranda was inclusive. We spoke broadly about the attacks that have been directed on the opposition leaders, specifically targeting the principals and targeting the Kenyans who thinks otherwise from President William Ruto. Yes.
Okay, so how big was the document? How many pages?
Well, the document wasn't that big. It was
because
it was sizable enough for IG to read and understand and give concrete response to it. And of course, as the party lead, as the principals communicated, we gave him a timeline under which he has to respond to the public, so that we get to understand if this country is being run within the role of within the constitution spectrum, or this country is being led through AMFIT. Yeah.
Well, on our Google Space, we are having right now, those who are already in, we have Rose. Rose, I'm going to give you an opportunity to greet the viewers again. And also is calling himself Professor Tolo Jeff is also going to say hi to the viewers. Yeah, so karibu sana Rose.
Asante sana Trisha. My name is Okeyo Rose. I'm a student of political science and public administration with international relations. Actually, I'm delighted that Ken Babu said that he's also an international relations student. So at least maybe after the meeting, we can share notes on matters diplomacy. And I study at Rongo University and I'm a finalist. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Professor Tolo. Are you there?
Speaking.
Good evening.
Good evening to you.
I can get you quite clearly. I'm so delighted to be here. As my name suggests, I'm Professor Tolo Jeff, though still a Gen Z professor, a professor in the making. I'm a political scientist too, and I'm a public finance expert, majoring on matters taxation and also matters budgeting. I'm so glad to be here. I'm also willing and available to share my insights on the political climate in the country. Thank you so much.
Okay. So karibuni sana, tuendelee na mazungumzo haya. Wapo wengine ambao kwa sasa hivi hawajaingia katika Google Space there, lakini kwa wote ambao pia wanafuatilia mazungumzo haya kupitia katika mitandao, karibuni sana. This is the Generation Report. Tunazungumzia tu masuala makuu ambayo yametokea katika wiki, mambo ama habari ambazo zilikuwa kuu katika wiki ama zimezungumziwa sana katika wiki, na pengine kuna watu ambao hawakupata nafasi ya kutegea ama kuweza kusikiza hizo habari. So hapa ndo nyumbani ambapo utaweza kupata ama kujuzwa tu zaidi, na vile vile tunapatia hizo habari mtazamo tofauti, kwa sababu tupo na ma experts hapa hivi kwenye studio. So tutakuwa tunaangazia na tunaanza tu hiyo tu ya kwanza, hii ya Gachagua, kwamba pale jana waliandamana kwenda kule katika ofisi ya IG pale, wakapeleka pale malalamishi yao, wakapeleka kitabu pale. Wacha nikiite kitabu kwa maana wanasema kwamba the violations against the former deputy president zimekuwa ni nyingi sana, na kando na former deputy president ni kwamba ni violations ambazo zimefanywa wa Kenya ni kwamba ni nyingi sana. So tunaamini kwamba ile memorandum inasaidia wote. Kwa hivyo nataka nianze na upande huu wangu wa kushoto, tukianza na Linus Okite. Tutazungumza kwa lugha zote, lakini najua wengine hapa ni wazuri kwa Kizungu, lakini msipotee. Karibu sana. Sijui wewe unazungumzia vipi haya masuala ya kimekuwa kinaendelea, especially katika hizi attacks ambazo tunaona kwamba kwa makanisa, katika nyumba za ibada, which is I feel like it's not really sitting right with just everyone.
Yes. Apologies. Sisi ndio wale Kiswahili naweza tunyonga hapa, so apologies. Let me just stick to English.
Yes.
I am good in written Kiswahili. Admittedly, I've not yet looked at the content of the memorandum, but I saw the leaders march to Jogoo House to be able to present it. From what I read from it, there are two things that for me I read from that very quickly. One, there's an attempt by the United Opposition to try to develop a script from Raila days. A script of getting agitation and then having an uprising around it. And so this being a sensitive matter, I think that would be a strategy around which to be able to do it. Secondly, I think if they did it and communicated it right, then they would have a proper thing to be able to tell the country. We have had very serious violations of human rights in this country, and it's a historical matter, and it's something that actually touches on a lot of some specific areas, and especially at the time when we are approaching elections like this, we are likely to see even some more. You remember, I had His Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka even threatening that there should be no assassination at this time as we head to the elections. We have seen before people assassinated as we head to the elections, the Musandas of this world. We have seen, remember the other time, the deputy returning officer in Embakasi East assassinated and the body found mutilated. We have seen those kinds of things. So it is a timely conversation that we should have in terms of reminding ourselves where we have come from, so that we prevent any other occurrence, because it's a sad thing. Lastly, I think it's very important also the challenge that the United Opposition is having in regards to pushing this very clean agenda, because it's a very important agenda is the problem that they're having is in the manner in which they're driving it. They're driving it first and foremost from a personality perspective, and they're saying that we're presenting the things that have been done against Rigathi Gachagua, but the country as it is today does not associate Rigathi Gachagua as somebody who has ever fought for the rights of the people. There is no point in time in this country that Rigathi Gachagua has been on the side of Kenyans that have fought for the space of human rights. He has been a public figure, and especially was a public figure in the Moi time, where actually the security apparatus was part of the security apparatus, and those security apparatus were used to meet violence against the people and violate human rights. And then fast forward, when he was an MP, we never saw any legislation, we have never seen any press conference or anything whatsoever by Rigathi Gachagua to condemn any violation of human rights, especially at the time when he was the MP. There was a significant violation of human rights at the time. Fast forward, he becomes the deputy president, and before they part ways with William Ruto, His Excellency the President, you again see Gachagua as somebody who constantly spoke very harshly at the time when we really demanded for people, even in government, to be able to stand out and stand for human rights. So remember Rigathi Gachagua telling people that the government doesn't budget for bullets for no reason. If you go to the streets, you'll meet them. And at that time, the police were actually violating people's human rights. So we have to get into a space into this country that we cannot only decide to fight for human rights when it is against us. It has to come to a point. I loved what, in the spirit of talking about what happened in the week, I loved what Honorable Millie Mabona did this week. She is the only MP from Western region that has come out and condemned those actions. While they are not in the same political side as it is today,
yes,
but she said very clearly that when injustice is injustice, it doesn't matter whether it's my enemy or not. So the approach by the United Opposition to begin by mentioning Rigathi Gachagua as the forefront, as the antagonist in this case, is problematic for the people of Kenya, because Rigathi Gachagua has never been the face of fighting for liberations or anything. So I think that approach is flat-foot wrong.
Well, yes. Before I come back to Babu and also Rose and Professor there, let me play for you what the match that they did yesterday to the IG's office tusikie walisema vipi.
The entire team na sisi tumekuja vile vile. Dada yetu Martha Karua had signed a very official document which will make available to the media, not just you here, but even the international community. Because what has been happening in our country is not just dereliction of duty on the part of the National Police Service, but outright chaos organized by the police themselves. And so we have given them up to the 16th to specifically deal with those items, 23 incidents, and there are even more, where the police have not only been complicit, but they have actually actively participated in lawlessness aimed at assassinating national leaders, and more particularly Mheshimiwa Rigathi Gachagua. The incident at the church in Witima is of particular significance.
Well, huyo ni kinara wa chama cha Wiper Kalonzo Musyoka. Umesikia mazungumzo ambayo ameyataja pale, na akitaja kwamba hii document ambayo imetengenezwa na imewekwa pale sign na Martha Karua ambaye ni kiongozi wa PLP, right? Yes. So I also want the other team also to participate. But before we give Ken Babu, let me give Rose Okeo the mic to say something around the attacks.
Tricia, what we saw was more about politics, and I feel like we need to see this as a broader concern for political stability and human rights in the country. And it's not only the deputy president or political leaders who are affected, but ordinary citizens attending rallies, meetings, or simply engaging in political activity. They also have been put at risk. So when political gatherings are disrupted or threatened, it will always undermine the very foundation of a democratic society. And political stability in any country, it depends on the trust, it depends on fairness, and the ability of people to participate fully in governance. So when citizens fear for their security, and when leaders are intimidated, and when attacks, real or perceived, occur, that trust will be eroded, and it affects every Kenyan, because a system where people cannot express themselves safely, it leads to tension, uncertainty, and potential unrest. What I'm really concerned at this particular case, after Rigathi Gachagua took the documents to report the incidents, I really want to see the response of the IG of the police, because at this particular case it is so critical. And the question is now whether the police will act impartially and ensure security for all, or whether these incidents will continue to create fear and mistrust among the public. The IG's handling of this situation will be a test, not just for the opposition, but just for leaders, but for the people of Kenya even as a whole. So in short, yesterday's events are about human rights, safety, and political stability. And the real question is whether Kenya can provide an environment where all citizens, regardless of political affiliation, can exercise their rights safely and trust that the institutions meant to protect them will do so. Thank you.
Okay, what is your take around these churches should be left, they should be left alone, because we know churches are sacred places. Yani katika makanisa ama nyumba za ibada ni sehemu ambazo katika mafunzo yetu ama mafunzo yoyote tu yale ya kidini ni kwamba zile ni sehemu ambazo they are sacred. So politics, what do you think about politics in these religious places?
Trisha, my network is a bit unstable.
Yes.
Can you please?
Well, my question is, what's your take around this issue of politics in religious places?
I am going to have a pessimistic view on politics in religious places, because religious places are meant for worship. It is a sacred place. So honestly, I do not encourage politics in religious places. As a matter of fact, that is what the Gen Zs back during the 2024 finance bill, although it was an economic protest, but even when you look at a larger dissent, it was also against playing politics in churches. So churches should always remain sacred places. It should always remain a place where we can worship. And this is not where politics should be played. Politics inaweza endelea pali kwingine, hata matanga pia si place yenye politics inaweza endelea. It should really take place at other spaces and not churches. So I have a pessimistic view on politics played in churches. Thank you.
Asante sana Rose. Now over to you Babu, tunataka pia tusikie maoni yako ni yepi, kwa sababu wewe kwanza uko katika hii coalition ya United Opposition ambapo Rigathi Gachagua is one of your candidates, I guess so. And actually I saw that you guys said that you're gonna field in your candidate soon.
Yes, thank you so much. Let me say that the attacks that have been put forward towards the opposition, like just my sister said, it's not just the churches that are being attacked. These attacks are being placed or meted on churches, leaders, and Kenyans at large. Because who are the people who attend these churches? These are ordinary citizens, who most of them sometimes are not even politicians. Some don't even have political interest. But the government still goes down to lobby tear gas and throw bullets in those churches. My brother said something that maybe the opposition is playing a script to seek sympathy or something. But the question that we are asking as the opposition and Kenyans are asking, and this is why we want the Inspector General of Police to give us a response, concrete. He might feel that he doesn't have a responsibility to answer to us, but he has a responsibility to answer to all Kenyans at large. Where or how can Rigathi Gachagua, a private citizen, access police Land Cruiser, police uniform, bullets, and tear gas. If the government still wants to maintain the narrative of oppositions are using police to attack themselves and throw tear gas at themselves. If it's true that if the government insists on that narrative that we attacked ourselves, then we don't have a country. You don't have a country. Then they are trying to. Then it means they are trying to tell Kenyans that any ordinary citizen, any private citizen can access those ammunitions. So then, where are we as a country in terms of security? So what we want to say and we want to make clear is the fact that this country belongs to all of us, and the Kenya Kwanza administrators must not think in any way that their lives are more important than any other person's life. If Mr. Ruto's regime today kills everybody in this country, who are they going to lead? Nobody. And in 2018, and I remember, I want to, on the same line my brother mentioned, in 2018 we were at the Globe roundabout, and Raila was addressing a mammoth, and he said, and I want to quote, that when people are tired, they will act. That's the situation we are in right now. Kenyans are getting tired, and very soon they are going to act, and it might not get easy for the president. And I want to ask the both of you and even Kenyans at large. We've seen attacks, and this is in response to what my brother said, that Rigathi Gachagua was in government and he never said anything. But now the question is, we've seen attacks. Raila was attacked in 2018, 2020. Rigathi Gachagua was not a deputy president. Raila was attacked during demonstrations. Azimio demonstration was being attacked seriously, heavily in 2023, 2024. Hapo makatikati. Raila was not, Rigathi Gachagua was in government. But now the question is, in 2014, when we went to the demonstrations, and we were lobbied with tear gas and water cannons and attacks from police brutality, same happened in 2018. Same happened in 2020. The same things repeated themselves in 2023. If you look from 2013 to 2023, the only constant person in all that hierarchy and in all that event, the only constant person is Mr. William Ruto from 2013 to 2023. So that tells you we cannot ask any other person to give us a better explanation on who is executing these attacks. There is only one constant figure from 2013 to 2026. Where the opposition is being attacked. The president is there. At that time he was the deputy president. Now he's the president. So all these things starts and ends with his leadership. And that's why when we went to the IG, that letter, and Kalonzo has mentioned that clearly, the letter was addressed to the IG and copied the president, because he's the chairperson of the National Security Council. So that he also gets a copy and reads through and look at our demands. Our demands were about 24. The incidences aligned, the incidences listed in that Barua were 24 incidences where the opposition leaders were attacked. And the last one that happened in Othaya, let me give you a picture. This is why we are saying that there is, and I agree with the opposition principles, when they say that there is an attempt or a plan to assassinate opposition leaders, because the tear gas was lobbied directly to where they were seated. Then it means whoever was throwing the tear gas had clear instructions. Get that? And when the bullets were being released, they were targeting specific direction. These are the occasions that tells you what is happening and how organized are these people. And let me land by saying, in 1939, when Holocaust happened in Germany, people did not just wake up and start killing each other. It started the way we are heading to, the way we are right now. In a situation where person A feels like his or her life is important than the life of person B, and then they start attacking you, and when you rebuttal, they call you names and they mark you. When people are tired, they will act, and the president must understand that Kenyans are getting tired gradually, and very soon they will act. And if the IG is not going to give us a concrete report as per the memoranda that we submitted, we have no alternative but to go to the streets and demand what is right to be done in this country. This is a country that is law abiding, and in the opposition we are working within the spectrum of the constitution. And that's why in all our rallies you've never seen people fighting unless government has infiltrated our rallies. And these attacks are always in churches because of one reason. In fact, two reasons. One, in church you can easily be confined. So they come, they appear, they pretend to be part of us, and then once we are settled, they ambush. 2, the government is attacking churches to install fear in Kenyans, so that anytime they hear that the opposition is going to church, like tomorrow we are going to church in Muranga, people are not turning up for church services. But what must be noted, and Kenya Kwanza regime must understand, President Ruto came to power through the churches. And he knows very well that church is the place that holds the most vulnerable population in this country. Women are in the church. Children are in the church. The elders are in the church. The PWs are in the church. He cannot sit somewhere under a tree, chopping life, and attacking the most vulnerable group in this country. That one must be condemned, and he has a responsibility to issue his position statement on what happened in Thaya.
Okay, let me get back to Linus, because I can see he's been nodding. Amekuwa kinodi tu. Tusikie kutoka kwako, pengine una yepi ya kuzungumzia kulingana na vile ndugu yetu ameelezea.
I agree with him that President William Ruto has to really say something, and not just say but also act. But let us also recognize that President, it's very important that we contextualize some of these things. Any politician or any person who has been in this country and studied the person of the personality of President William Ruto should not expect anything of President William Ruto insofar as apologies or even reduction of such things are concerned.
But why not?
Because that is his personality. That is who President Ruto is. That is whom we voted for. It is like the saying that goes that it's like taking a prostitute and then expecting them to do what? To you marry them and then you expect them to all of a sudden change their habits. The historical context of President William Ruto, in fact, I want to agree with my brother Ken Babu that this country, we should not have in fact elected ICC indictees as early as 2013. That was a wrong move. We encouraged the mediocrity at the time. Then fast forward, we saw during the was it called there was the Mandamano or Kwa Kenya Mandamano that was to culminate into a referendum in 2014. We saw that administration. Fast forward, we have seen President William Ruto, even as a deputy president, use terms like militia to refer to people when they were demonstrating. He has used terms like wakora to refer to people when they are demonstrating. So this is who he is. So insofar as this conversation is concerned, the only thing I would disagree with my brother Ken Babu is that expecting President Ruto to condemn violence in politics is their daydreaming. So in the event that they have any other strategy that would be able to save the country from these kinds of things, then they should be able to apply those strategies as soon as possible. Because President William Ruto, that is whom we voted for. The historical context right from the 1990s. People don't understand how President William Ruto came to politics even in the first place. If you begin thinking about how President Ruto came to politics, right from the time he was the chair of CU at the University of Nairobi, and the late Jirongo, by the time they were picking President William Ruto at the time, the intention was because CU was the largest organization at the time, and the president needed to contain those who were agitating for the second liberation. So he was used at the time as a recruit to the YK92 with the sole purpose of using the congregants, the CU members at the time, to contain those who were fighting for the second liberation, who are fighting for the rights today. So that is how this guy is introduced to politics. Then you are expecting somebody who was containing those who are fighting for their rights in 1992, that is more than 34 years ago, to today change his tactics.
Well,
let me also just point, it's also said, and remember if you refer to the clips of Lin Jiru, he is again among the people, even while Uhuru Kenyatta was reading the concession speech, he is among the people who we are told, we're on record, trying to say that President Ruto should have done what? President Moi should have done what? Not handed the power. So if you look at this person that we're dealing with, what I'm trying to say is very simple. We are in a bad space, and we're in a bad space because of bad leadership. It's very important that while I encourage that the United Opposition now begins to take over from where Raila left in terms of fighting in these injustices, it's also very important to contextualize the person you're dealing with so that then you don't give him options that he cannot take. If he's been given up to 16, then it's okay.
Well, okay, I like the history that you've given us around the president coming in as a president, but I'm also looking at some years back when he was in ODM. See, they were also fighting for something for the people.
When did President William Ruto fight?
The party was fighting for something.
Yeah.
Not the man himself.
He was part of the founders of the party.
Let me tell you, Tricia. Let me tell you, Ruto was in ODM.
Yes.
The ODM party was fighting for democratic space.
Yes.
Not Ruto himself. Ruto is on record saying in 2008 that if President Ruto refuses to leave office, they will have no alternative but to use other means to get him out of power. This is the guy the man has described. So the party was fighting for democratic space, not the man himself. If he believed on what the party was fighting, why did he leave the party and start forming his own wheelbarrows everywhere? Anyway, that's not the point. The point is this: we are going to Othaya tomorrow. Mm-hmm. This time round, bold, courageous, and fearless, and we are ready. This country belongs to all of us.
Are you going back to the church?
You're going
back to the church.
No, we will have a church service at Muranga, Gitugi Ward. And meet and greet in Muranga, and then we go have a meet and greet in Othaya, not far from where we are tear gassed. What
because
we are saying,
my fear is for the innocent people in the church, the congregants. They need to be protected.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The president or the Kenya Kwanza regime must understand that they cannot be tear gassing churches to instill fear on private citizens. If the regime has a problem with Kalonzo Musyoka, Rigathi Gachagua, George Natembeya, and the entire opposition, Wamalo and everybody, they know how, where, and when they can get them. They can meet and sort their issues. But they cannot, the regime cannot reduce their ego into fighting everybody, anywhere, any day. So we are going back to Othaya tomorrow.
Okay.
And we want to tell the regime that you must have a responsibility as per the constitution to protect each and every person in this country.
Trisha, let me just jump in.
Because let me just land. You know, let me tell you, Trisha, presidency is something that comes and go. One day you are going to wake up and Ruto will no longer be the president. He will be a private citizen. And I want to make it here clear that how Kenyans will handle him or whoever the president will handle his issues is directly dependent on how he's dealing with the Kenyans as a president today. Because one thing that is clear, and I've said this before and I want to say it here, President Ruto has got very minimal chances of retaining the presidency. Very minimal.
2027.
Very minimal.
2027.
Very minimal. In fact, the guy is home right now. Unless we in the opposition reduces the pressure and Kenyans get him back.
Ndugu yangu unasema nini wewe?
What I'm telling you. President Ruto is home as we talk right now.
Unasema nini?
He has got very thin line, and I saw the other time you were hosting my senior and elder back in the village,
yes.
Nyamori. And I was watching closely as he massages the egos of the president. Next time you come here, tell him that I said that as per the environment and the atmosphere today in the country, President Ruto has got very thin, minimal chances of retaining the presidency in 2027.
Wow. Before you forget your point, wacha nikupe mic, then now we can come to Professor Tolo. Jeff, prepare, you're the one next after Linus.
I just wanted to say that while the United Opposition is calling on the government to take responsibility, I also think that the leaders themselves also have a responsibility to read the mood and also act in a manner that then protects the lives of citizens. Because remember, these things, first of all, there are intelligence reports that go beforehand. And if you know very well that there were chaos and already there is agitation around a certain area over a certain matter, then it is not right that you again rub the salt on the same injury. I think it would be very important. I mean, it's not a must. God can be praised anyway. Eh? It's not a must that they praise it.
Yeah, you go to sure.
Yes, so it's not a must that you go to Odhaya. It's not a must that you go to church anyway together. Everybody can pray home and then go and meet and greet the people. What is it that people have to go to church together to go and do?
You know. Let me tell you. Let me, Richard, before you bring Professor.
Yes.
I said here before that President Ruto rose to power courtesy of church, and he knows very well that the way in which he has handled the economic state of this country, education, health, the church left him long ago. The church has detached away from him, and is now jealous and skeptical of anybody who is trying to build a friendship with the church.
So are you also going to the churches to build a relationship?
Let me tell you, my brother.
I want to put a question even as you add to that. What if we put it to you that because President Ruto has a very good good relationship with the church, if somebody then puts it to you that you people are organizing yourselves to attack so that you detach him from the church, how would you say that?
That is the narrative that the Kenya Kwanza bloggers are pushing. But let me ask you, how would you attack a church that you are inside? Aren't you endangering yourself as well? What if you do the attack and unfortunately you are the one who dies in the process? Who will be losing? So there is no way we can say that the opposition are organizing self-attacks. These attacks are coming right from Kenya Kwanza regime. And I gave you here a chronology of event. Since 2013 up to 2026, the only constant person in all those attacks is one person. And today is the president. So he's the one with a clear responsibility to come and tell Kenyans what is really happening. Because if we proceed that way, we might lose the country.
Well, we are not praying so. Yeah, we are not praying that we lose the country. This country is so beautiful. Yeah, this country, we've really sacrificed a lot for it, for us just to lose it like that. So, kila mtu upande wa kwake lazima tuchunge hii nchi kwa pamoja. So, muda huu nataka kumpa ndugu yangu, naona sijui ampotea tena. Profesa, nataka kukupa nafasi uweze kuchangia mada ambayo tuko nayo kwa sasa hapa hivi. Uko wapi? Sikuoni. Lakini kwa sasa bado tukiendelea na mazungumzo yetu, kunalo hili jambo la kesi ya Gachagua. Wacha tumalizane tu na Gachagua kabisa. Ipo hii kesi ya Gachagua ambapo tuliona kwamba ilitupiliwa. Sema ni kutupiliwa nje ama ni koti ilisema kwamba haina mamlaka pia ya kusikiza ile kesi. Sijui Ken, wewe kwa sababu yeye ni kiongozi wako katika United Opposition, what's your response to that? And again, what does this really mean to Gachagua and the entire United Opposition coalition?
Well, the courts were clear that they are not in a position to handle that. And that does not mean entirely that the case has been thrown out. Still, there's space for hearing. And, of course, the legal team of Rigathi Gachagua are working on what they need to do as far as that case is concerned. And you see, this case, to a large extent, I think it's also being politicized for the interest of the man on the top. But I want to tell you, and I want to make it clear here that we are on board, we are committed, and we know the truth where it is. And one day, as we always say, the wind will blow, and you know what we will see. I don't want to mention that thing that we will see.
Unaona mpaka nimekuangalia.
I don't want to mention what we will see, but the wind will blow, and
yes, we shall see.
We shall see it.
Okay.
Yeah.
On that case, before the case that was thrown out by the Supreme Court is of little significance, because then it just the matter before the Supreme Court was that there was a request to suspend the hearing at the High Court. And what the Supreme Court said is that it has no jurisdiction to suspend ongoing cases. So I think that is in good faith. That is the right jurisprudence. On the matter, I think the real conversation that we should be having as to whether what should be the probable outcome of the High Court case. And if you look at the previous precedents that has been set, looking at the already impeached public officers like Sonko, we had Waititu, and the rest. If you look at the precedents that we've already set, if the High Court was to rule that that Gachagua is eligible to run, then we are going to have a conundrum. On what basis will they be ruling that Gachagua can run? The basis which is before the court would be that Gachagua was inappropriately impeached.
Yes.
So then, when you're talking about now what lawyers now call jurisprudence, if you look at the right legal interpretation of that is that Gachagua should in fact be the deputy president.
Yeah.
Okay. So if the courts were to rule in favor of Gachagua, then the only outcome of that particular ruling is that if Gachagua was inappropriately
removed
impeached,
from office, yes,
then he should retain that office. He should go back to that office. And now then we just have the other option that the ruling is that Gachagua was properly impeached, and as such it remains so. Then what then it means that we should have Gachagua never run again or hold any public office. Two more things as I wind up on that. My thinking is that in the event that the courts grant Gachagua a leeway, or part of what people have argued, that you can run for office unless you exhaust all other avenues, if IEBC were to allow Gachagua to run, then we are setting a very bad precedence in the country that people can get impeached and then they are still allowed to do what? To hold public office, as long as they do not exhaust the legal channels that are available. That would be a bad precedence that we will set. And in terms of our legal framework, it would be really, really bad for our country. Finally, on the same, in the event, because again, people have also argued that the president, there are people who have also argued that the president could, in fact, encourage a ruling that favors Gachagua to run for presidency for the sake of his political survival. Again, that would be a very sad story for our country. So my thinking is that on the matter of Gachagua, the Supreme Court is right. If the Supreme Court would have ruled in favor of Gachagua and stopped the High Court proceeding, then it would have set what we call a precedence. And once you have that particular precedence, and because the courts are a court of consistency, then any other person could still move to court, even on a criminal matter, and say, you see, stop my proceedings. That the Supreme Court has powers to stop the proceedings in the High Court. So the moment the Supreme Court would have given themselves that power, then any other person, including people who are in criminal cases, would have still gone to court and said, please, because you have already given yourself powers, can you also suspend mine? So I think in that respect, the Supreme Court was right.
Okay, before we finalize on that, I want to invite again Rose Okeo to also give her submission around that. Rose, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Tricia. Tricia, before we delve into this conversation, we need to first accept that Rigathi Gachagua was impeached illegally. And in political science, we do a unit known as administrative law, and we have two principles when it comes to natural justice. That is nemo judex in cosa sua and odi alteram partem. So odi alteram partem was the principle was violated at this particular case, and odi alteram partem suggests that every person is entitled to a fair hearing. And as I was following the impeachment process, Rigathi Gachagua was not accorded a fair hearing. At that particular case, when he was supposed to make his cause, I think he felt sick. I don't know if whether it was a chess move or something, but still, he ought to have been given a fair hearing and a fair trial. But Parliament still proceeded with the impeachment process, and in my view, the impeachment process is actually null and void. Now, politically speaking, even though the courts have the power to either clear Rigathi Gachagua or declare the impeachment process null and void, the reality is that such an outcome is unlikely to happen in the immediate term. Why? Because we all understand the political consequences. If the court were to clear him fully, what would automatically restore his political rights, including the right to buy. And in the current political climate, that will significantly disrupt the balance within the political system. Such a move will introduce a serious disequilibrium within political parties, within alliances, and even within the ongoing succession calculations. Courts are independent, yes, but they are also conscious of timing, stability, and the wider national context. And in my view, this is a case that is likely to move slowly. We might see hearings, we might see applications and appeals, but no final decisive ruling before the election period. In effect, the case could be legally alive, but politically frozen. So realistically, this is a matter that may be conclusively dealt with after elections, when the political temperature has cooled and the system can absorb the consequences of whether decision is made. So in short, this case is no longer just a legal context. It is now deeply political, and timing might matter just as much as the law itself. Thank you.
Wow, thank you. Thank you so much, Ross, for your submission. Even as we continue with the conversation, again, I just want to remind our viewers, this is the Generation Report, comes every Saturday, 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. right here on Radio Generation, the home of hard truths and bold insights. There are people who are already tuned in on our social media platforms. That is at Radio Gen KE. That is on the X platform, also on Facebook, and also on our YouTube. I can see someone called Otieno Anton, okay, what is this name? Yes, he's saying that he's right here following the show. There's also presenter Talents. I can see you're saying that you're locked in the show, Iko Hot, and you're saying that Linus Okite, putting it as it is. Yeah, thank you so much. For those of you who also want to follow this conversation and you also want to contribute, our WhatsApp number is right there. You can give us a call. That is on WhatsApp. That is 0116928683. You are able to make a call and also join the conversation because your input is also important. So you are responding because come next hour we are going to look at something different. We are talking of billions of cash that has been lost in the SHA scheme. So we are also going to look at that as we continue with the conversation. So you are responding on this.
On the issue of listening to Ross, technically the case has been now reduced to political discourse, because like she has mentioned, she's right. The timing is very critical in this case, and it is very critical for one person, the president, because he understands the magnitude of the outcome of that case. If the outcome was to be given tomorrow, he knows how political temperatures will shift, and to some extent it might not be in his favor. So his technical hand is, I tend to believe that he has a hand in this. Mm-hmm. He has a hand in this. He's deeply rooted in this matter, just to contain and manage the situations, ensure that we are done with the elections. Then from there, the outcome can now be made public. But like I said, we have a very strong and vigorous legal team that is following up on that matter, and within stipulated timelines, because there's a conversation, there's a link between the courts and the judges and of course the legal teams. They are agreeing on the timelines and everything. That matter will be sorted I can tell you.
So do you believe that Gachagua, the matter will be sorted in favor of Gachagua?
Definitely. He was actually impeached unconstitutionally.
So
and let me ask you, Tricia.
Yes.
If you are taken to a court and you fell ill, even you, for just stealing mbuzi, that matter should not proceed.
Okay.
Because the accused is not there. So
yes, we have few seconds.
And you know, the Senate is like a court.
Let me just hold on.
Just hold on.
Seconds.
We have few seconds to the top of the hour.
Senate plus a court.
Yes.
Gachagua was not in Senate when the final nail was hit on the coffin. That's like a court. If you are taken to court today and you fell ill and you are not there when the judgment cannot be passed.
Okay,
you must be there.
Thank you. Let's get to the top of the hour and then we will be coming right back.
It's 9 o'clock.
Radio generation, the sound is fine. Pump it up, turn it high all the time. Let the music move you, let's sway. Radio G's got your jam all day.
Radio Generation, the home of urban soul.
But I'd like to believe nobody really knows him. I also feel sad for him. You know, my father died, and that was a very traumatic experience for me. But at least he died with somebody he knew loved him. And I believe people need to take better care of their loved ones. And mental health is a really important thing. When you live here and you go on Thika Road, there are two options. You either turn right as you're going to Mathare, or you turn left and you're going to DCI. Because a flat out lie that you were there at the time of my father's death and you were not, talking things that did not occur, is quite dangerous. It makes me question a lot of things. What would be those intentions? So I believe they're just two places that should be rushed with immediate effect, one or the other.
From Monday, we will make sure all major towns and cities and roundabouts in the country, there will be no passing until the government addresses. We have not seen any arrests. We have not seen any reports. And I want to remind you, the boda people, before the reformation of the matatu industry, we had something that we called Kamjesh. If the government is not able to protect us, we want to bring us back.
We are going to remove our vehicles from roads all over the country. We've consulted, and all the people who are here, we have people from Kisumu, we have people from Mombasa, we have people from Central Kenya who are here. We are going to withdraw all our vehicles from business because the government is supposed to protect our business, but there is no protection. And going forward, the way we've said, every Monday, we are going to make sure we remove our vehicles from roads until the government listens to us. And we are going to bring back our boys who've been manning our business because the police cannot be able to help us.
So as we sit here, at least 56% will not see the inside of Parliament next Parliament. And we want to make sure that there must be life and good life after you leave Parliament, so that you can be covered health-wise. And to this end, I want to urge, and I've discussed this with the majority leader, we have had 4 pension amendment bills, one sponsored by the Honourable Member for Sirisia, one sponsored by the Honourable Member for Kimilili, and one by the member for Imendi Central, and the more important one by the member for Kitui Central, the Honorable Makali Mulu, which he actually inherited from another member. Who was the member who brought it? Mwadime, the current governor of Taita Taveta. I have painstakingly gone through this bill with the Honorable Makali Mulu, the Pensions Committee, actuarial advice, management of Parliament, and the Treasury representation. We have cleaned it up. It's, in my opinion, and my opinion,
every single moment, every decisive area, you continuously oppose the movement of Raila Amolo Odinga. Today you are saying that you are counsel and you are being consulted in every important issues. But the brother, you are being consulted as a counsel and you are being paid legal fees. But this is his brother. He spoke to him in the morning, he spoke to him in the evening, he spoke to him in the bedroom. You can't tell us you know more about Raila Odinga than Oburu Odinga. Then you tell us that, oh, everybody else is a fool. That I beg you that you leave this kind of thing. Now you are taking us for a fool. I'm an advocate of 35 years. Ujima Yako here is an advocate for 35 years. Opondo Kaloma is an advocate of 30 years. Oh, Adumu War is an advocate of 40 years. What do you take us for? Even if it is about being lawyers, even Juliet here is a lawyer. Just because of your personal differences cannot stop us from going in a movement.
This week, power was tested in the corridors of leadership, economies shook under pressure, and the voices of ordinary citizens demanded to be heard. From breaking decisions in high office to protests in the streets, from moments of triumph to tragedies that stopped us in our tracks, these are the headlines that shaped our week. And beyond the noise, we search for what really matters, the connections, the context, the stories behind the stories. Introducing Patricia Wayoa, and this is your weekly news roundup on Radio Generation, where every headline has a heartbeat and every moment counts.
Ladies and gentlemen,
introducing Patricia Wayoa, and this is Generation Report, your weekly news roundup show on Radio Generation, where every headline has a heartbeat and every moment counts.
And yes, we are right back. This is the Generation Report, like you've just heard, and this is Radio Generation, the home of hard truths and bold insights. Tonight, being joined by one Linus Okite and also Babu Ken, and we are calling it as it is. The conversation right here is quite hot, yeah, because of course they are spitting out wisdom and all truth right here at Radio Generation 88.8 here in Nairobi. That is if you are listening to your radio, 90.7 all the way in Mombasa and its environs. By the way, when I talk of environs, I'm talking about areas like Kwale. You are able to follow this conversation. Sehemu za kule Taita Taveta, sehemu za kule Kilifi, you are able to follow the conversation that is happening right here. And the people are tuned in all the way in Garissa. Kama uko Garissa na ungependa kufuatilia mazungumzo haya kupitia kwenye mitabendi yetu ya 89.5, you are able to follow the conversation right back to the online platform or our social media platforms. Radio Gen KE, you are able to follow the conversations that are happening right here at Radio Generation. And by the way, I want to appreciate everybody who is tuned in through our X platform. I can see several people there tuned in. All the people tuned in through our YouTube platform, you guys are so special. Thank you so much for choosing Radio Generation. Kuna wengine pia wanategea kupitia kwa other platforms like the Facebook Radio Gen KE. Thank you so much. You are also special for tuning in. Like, we want you to also contribute in this conversation. Please send in your questions, send in your contribution on whichever topics that we are conversing around right here. So we are getting back to the conversation. Hii story ya Gachagua ni kama inaleta shida sana because I didn't want us to cross over with it, but let me just give Okite a few seconds of 1 minute or two to respond to what he wanted to say before we went for the break. Then now we can get to something else. Karibu sana.
Patricia, I think the only thing I want to add on the matter is people quickly forget that impeachment processes are political processes and not judicial processes.
Mm-hmm.
There's a very serious difference between a political process and a judicial process. If the impeachment of Gachagua was a judicial process, it would not have seen the light of day. If it was a judicial process, and in fact, if it because then we are saying that by the virtue of the fact that they found him on the grounds of corruption and other grounds that they placed before the Senate, before the Parliament and the Senate, if it was a judicial process, then by default, Gachagua should have been going to jail because he should have been convicted. So the reason he's not going to jail or he's not doing any other, there's nothing else beyond the impeachment, is because there should be a very clear understanding that the impeachment process is a political process and not necessarily a judicial process.
Okay, a political process following guidelines from a judicial process.
It should be so, but is it so? That's a very clear, there should be a clear distinction of that. So that's what I wanted to put across, that I had my sister Rose mentioned that, so there should be that distinction, that while we want to talk about right of hearing, if you talk about right of hearing, especially in your presence, the right argument, again, that's also not the right argument, because remember, as a citizen, even if you go to court, you have the right to either appear there in person or represent.
Have a representative, sure.
And in this case, there were representation. So by very competent lawyers at the time. So if, again, remember, there should be consistency in matters of court. If there would be no judgments because somebody is not present in court, then people would simply, when they realize that there would be something that which is unfavorable to them, all they would have done is just simply not appear in court. So to avoid such, a court of law can make a judgment in the absence of the parties. And in fact, there are some cases where the judgment can just be served to the lawyers. So I just want to make that distinction to our listeners, that when you are looking at the Gachagua issue, all the arguments that are being placed there by the lawyer that, oh, he was not present, oh, he was sick, absence of leave or something like that, all those things don't matter in a political process. This is not a judicial process. We only assume that it's a judicial process because of the many arguments that we're having, but this is a political process.
Any response?
No, I'm listening to my brother, and I tend to disagree with some of his submissions. The situation under which Gachagua was being impeached, Gachagua stood his grounds unto the last minute, and the state in which he was at that time was not fit for him to be present at the time of ruling. And we all agree that this is a political process. But the Senate at that point acted as the court at that time, because the speaker was there and precisely was the judge of that day, based on the votings and everything. Gachagua was not there. The ruling was released. The votes were counted. We've seen impeachments going on of governors. Sonko was there. Chebi, Chilimo, that guy, I don't know, Kotimoja was in Senate. And in all those situations, they were there in person when the voting was happening. Because it's a requirement that you have to be there in person.
It's not a legal requirement.
But you have to be there in person.
No.
That's why we're saying it's a political process. So Gachagua ought to have been there in person. Because anyway, were there timelines for the voting? No. There weren't timelines that, you have to vote by this time. In any case, the voting could have been still, the convention could be still going on, whether to vote or not, even up to now. But what was the urgency? That's why I agree with you. There was too much politics in it. So up to now, we are still, you see, okay, convention issues can be brought, arguments can come up. But the question is, what was so necessary or urgent that the process had to proceed with the person being prosecuted in a sick bed, almost dying? So, okay, if the process could have proceeded and passed and then he dies, what could the conversation about? Would we call that an assassination or something?
I'm sorry. Let's see. Okay, that's fair enough for that conversation. Right now, before we get to the billions that we're talking about, the Shah, before we get there, let's have a look at this Safaricom issue, because I know it's also something that has been continuing with the grilling of the PS Treasury, Kipto. Yeah, but he was grilled, and you'll hear what he said. So let's just have a listen to this.
So my submission, Chairman, is let us open this bid to international bidders. And we lose nothing. If Kenya gets an additional 150 billion, I thought the mileage will go to government. They'll build more roads. So, I mean, everyone benefits. Why can't we be patient for 2 months and we get a higher price, Chairman? Thank you very much. And as I submit, we look about the dividend. This is another securitization, as you know, of dividend. I would want to know even from the committee, maybe separately. You know, there's something called MTDS, whether it's actually part of it. We are now securitizing dividend. This dividend was part of our Appropriations Act, the current one. Because part of our revenues, the dividend is part of it. So we have securitized. I may ask many questions even about the current IPO that is ongoing. The proceeds were part of the Appropriations Act. So don't we see a mismatch? We have securitized dividend for the next many years, yet in our long-term and medium-term planning as a country, it is already accounted for as a revenue direct to the consolidated fund. I think Kenyans deserve answers on that.
But you will hear some people saying, why are you doing this? This is wrong. The same people who told us, who agreed with us, let's do it. We're saying we're divesting a portion of Safaricom to raise money. They tell us, oh, who negotiated? Where is the committee that negotiated for the price of the shares? Really? Any public listed company, the tested, proven, transparent valuation is done by the capital markets. It's done at the exchange. It's not done in boardrooms or by committees. So I want to tell those people who are giving us lectures about what we are doing with the IPO on Kenya Pipeline or Safaricom, they should spare us their political conmanship and intellectual deceit.
So whichever way you look at it, this is a good offer. And we carefully looked at it. And these mathematics showing here are clear. The cash flow shows that 40 billion today we take, and then we will pay 55 billion in 6 years.
So if anyone else tells you that the market share of Safaricom is at 80 shillings or at 90 or whatever price it is, ask them which valuation model they are using. And if they can prove to us which method they are using, then you can say that this share has been either undervalued or overvalued.
Well, as you've heard, we started with Kiharu MP, Ndindi Nyoro. You heard what he said about the selling of the 15% of government's shares at Safaricom. And then you've also heard what the president's response. And again, you've heard now the PS, Kipto, being grilled, and you heard his response. I just want to hear your submissions or your understanding around what this wholesale means to us Kenyans, and why maybe we should consider Ndindi Nyoro's idea, or why we shouldn't consider that. So I don't know whether to start with you, Rose. Are you there? Rose, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, but I will ask if you kindly start with the gentleman, then I'll follow later.
Okay, it's okay, no problem. Yeah, let's start with Okite. Okite, you have numbers, you deal with numbers, you have facts. So would you please share with us some of those facts?
I have 2 degrees in finance.
Yes.
Economics and finance degree from KU. I also have a bachelor's administration degree finance option from St. Paul's University. So I understand this matter very well. But I want to speak to this in a manner that a common person
can understand. Yes.
So that you understand both sides. Shares, what Akinambadi have done is that they have gone and checked the market and realized that the share capital, the share price at the time is at a given amount, and they're arguing that within the 6 months of 28, and therefore they went ahead and argued and negotiated something more, which is at 34, and so they're trying to convince the country that we indeed gave you a good deal. And that's what they want us to believe and just stop there. But in finance, that is not how it works. One, the best method of valuation that should have been done today should have been what is called the discounted cash flow valuation model. So then, when you're using discounted cash flow valuation model, in fact, the best approach, there are 2 of them, I think there are 3. There is the weighted average capital, what we call the WACC, and then we also have the CAPM model. So the best in such a divestiture would have been the WACC, which then would have assisted them to know the cash flow today,
what it is
in the next 10
value,
years.
yes.
Usually it's about 10 years. Then understand then what then would be the value of Safaricom as a today to be able to sell it. And why do they do so? Because then now I want to move away from the WACC to make somebody understand very clearly. Tricia, today you buy a piece of land.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the middle of Garissa, or say any part of the country, say at a value of 100,000. Okay?
Yes.
Then with this 100,000, then something happens. Somebody goes to the government and realizes that here they have discovered gold just next door.
Yes.
And so what the government is doing, and then there are a number of things also that have to happen. So what is going to happen immediately is that the government is going to, within the next 3 years, do what? Build schools here, build a university here, do every other thing, bring all the amenities. Remember, this thing was in the middle of some desert. And then now there is already probable information that there is going to be supported social amenities around this piece of land. So then it brings up something what in finance we call intrinsic value. So at that moment you then ask yourself the question that while I've bought this land at 100,000 kind of shillings, is it okay for me then to just sell it at 150,000 for the sake of it being more than 100,000, or there is a probability that I could argue with these guys that in the event that a university is built here, and in the event that a school has been built here and there is water that is brought and there is mining that is happening, then there is an expected value of this land that no longer would not be 150. So let us then argue on the basis of what is the probable value at the time. There are serious things that are happening in Safaricom today. Remember, Safaricom the other day did put a green bond, which helped them raise more than 40 billion.
Yes.
And that means that Safaricom is going to indeed already invest in their internet infrastructure. And within the next 3 years, we are going to see Safaricom expand its internet infrastructure in a massive way.
Yes.
So within 3 years from today, Safaricom income from data bundles alone is going to more than triple. That is what is expected. Number 2, Safaricom has been struggling, even though it has been making billions, it has been struggling the past few years on its entry into the Ethiopian market.
And which they have done well right now.
Largely because of the issue of devaluation of the Ethiopian birr. And at the time, you see Safaricom now is operating on a dollar basis. So at the time, there was a problem with that. There was a problem with the hostile reception by the Ethiopians at the time. There was a problem with just the costs of investments, and all those now have stabilized.
Yes.
And in fact, if you look at the first quarter of 2025, all through to the last quarter of 2025, Safaricom has been progressively making positive progression in terms of finances, right? If you just look at the Ethiopian market alone. So these are 2 very critical aspects that are making the intrinsic value, the probable value of Safaricom in the next few years, going to be very lucrative.
So, and that is what.
So that is what now.
The MP is looking at. Yes.
Those of us in the finance sector, we are saying that you cannot look at Safaricom from a very basic point of view. That now we are just selling it 6 shillings more just for that. Once more, the president is wrong for saying that the valuation is done at the Capital Markets Authority. That is wrong. The role of the Capital Markets Authority is to do regulation, not to do valuation. Valuation is left for finance experts, and there are very clear formulas.
And there are factors behind the valuation.
Correct. There are factors behind the valuation. One of the most critical factors that Ndidi has been talking about, you look at the financial statements of Safaricom, and the critical, any investor would be looking at, say, EBIT or EBITDA, okay? That is the earnings of Safaricom before tax.
Yes, and after tax, yes.
You look at the PE ratio. You then now go to other factors and look at the liquidity ratios, so that you are able to see whether Safaricom can survive in the next few years or not. You then look at the risk ratios. Okay, so all these factors are compounded, and then from there you make a recommendation. You then see whether what we call the financial health of the company. That is actually what we even do for people who want to invest in NSC. Okay, you begin looking at the health of this particular company in a wholesome way.
Yeah.
So what we are realizing, especially under a model, there is also another model. I gave you the discounted cash flow.
Let us just work with whatever we.
Yes. There is also something called what we call precedence sale. What has happened before? Then the other thing is comparative analysis. What is happening in the competitive environment of Safaricom? So if you look at it, what my good friend Ndidi Nyoro is saying is that there has been, when you look at the competitors of Safaricom, and in terms of their finances, even the person who is buying Safaricom today, that is Vodacom, what he's saying is that the financial health of Safaricom is too good to just be thrown away with somebody. Why would a profit-making institution sell itself to a loss-making institution?
To a loss-making institution. Wow. Yeah.
So to conclude this matter, what I'm saying is that the president is wrong to make the country think that the Capital Markets Authority should be able to do what? To do the role of the
pricing,
capital market is simply to do regulation, not valuation.
Okay.
Valuation is for the experts, and there are formulas.
Yes.
And I can tell you for a fact, and one, if we meet even in other podcasts, I can do that mathematics live based on the Safaricom previous transactions and use the discounted cash flow method and calculate the whole country for the next 10 years and exactly what we should be able to charge Safaricom today.
The future value of that price we are talking now.
You bring it back to today using the weighted average cost method, and we will do it live, and we will be able to determine the value of Safaricom.
Tunaelewana kaka. Yes. Tunaelewana. So Babu, sasa tupatie your political view around this.
The financial view.
Well, I agree with my brother.
Yes.
And one thing I agree with him strongly is the fact that in all the explanation is given financially and analytically, is coming out clear on the president being wrong. Because for a long time we've been misled because the man on the top has spoken. John Bad is a financial expert. But now you see, he's on the radar telling Kenyans, misguiding Kenyans. Not because he wants to. These are financial expert as well. And he has given us a proper background and
also
breakdown.
Financial expert, yes.
And he has given us a proper breakdown on what need to be done, how, when, and where. Ndidi Nyoro has been on record giving Kenyans the real raw information. But John Bad is contradicting each and every time he comes to the media. Why? Because the president is wrong. And it's the president who is now addressing the egos of the president, not the real issue that need to happen. Why we are not we are asking questions about the sale of Safaricom shares. Number one, the major thing that we are opposed to is the secretive and rushed, non-transparent disposal of this institution. Safaricom is too big, and it has created a lot of employment for Kenyans. Then if it's being sold, then it should be a public discussion. Let Kenyans engage. Let Kenya be involved. And that is what, in fact, if Ndidi Nyoro could have not brought this matter to the public light, unfortunately, President Ruto and his friends were going to sell this institution without even Kenyans getting to know how, when, and who bought it. That since Ndindi brought this matter to the public light, that's when the conversation now came up, and people are asking, do you know there are people who do not know even that Safaricom was about to be sold? But now see, conversation now, there's been conversations after conversations, and financial experts like my brother here is now coming on board to break it down. In fact, find time and give us that breakdown, because we need it. Kenyans need to know what is happening, who is buying Safaricom shares, because Ndindi, we were in a meeting over the weekend, and Ndindi said something, that sometimes we are told that these are foreign buyers. But if you look at the breakdown and the details of the buyers carefully, you realize that these are not foreign buyers. These are Kenyans living somewhere in Sugoi or somewhere around Western province, somewhere around in this country. But they are camouflaging as foreign buyers. So we are selling these things to Kenyans who are calling themselves foreigners. So we need to get to know who is buying Safaricom, at what cost.
Can I add something on that? He has mentioned about the people buying. There are two transactions, and I want to give examples of that. First one, the Safaricom one. When Safaricom shares were first sold in during the Kibaki time, remember Mbadi came and said that every president has sold
a part of Safaricom. Yes.
What happened was that by the time Vodafone making the purchase, it was declared here that Vodafone was buying from us 40%. But then in the London Stock Exchange, you have to then declare also what you own in other companies. So by the time they were declaring the other side, we realized as a country that at the time they declared 10% less. So when they declared 10% less, because remember they said they declared 40, the other side they were declaring 30. We then came to realize that at the time there was a company called Mobitelea that then was also having a stake.
They were taking the 10%.
Yes, and in fact there were people who went to court to try and lift what we call the company veil, because then we needed to see who were actually behind this particular company, which never came to pass. So there's a possibility that actually could happen. Again, people don't also understand, there's something very interesting, that Safaricom is not the first telecommunications company by President Ruto to sell. Even Telcom has been sold by this president, but people just never made noise.
KPA is on the run, Kenya Pipeline.
Right? If you look at the history of Telcom and how it was sold and why it was being sold right from the time it was called Orange, and by the time there was a need for investors to come in place and make investments so that they could be competitive at the time, it happened, and I think there were some guys from Saudi or something who came and bought some parts of it. Then when President Uhuru came, the government of Kenya actually purchased it back because they didn't agree. And so the government of Kenya actually brought it back. In 2023, President Uhuru again sold it now to some guys from UAE. That's something that Kenyans don't talk about.
I need to go and research about it, actually.
That's
why you're going to give me time to go and research about.
That's why.
Yes.
So, but nobody talked about the valuation of Telecom at the time. But so I am glad that we are having this conversation because it's very important.
Very, very important.
Very important that we have that.
That's why we applaud Ndindi Nyoro. And I've said it. If Ndindi could have not brought this matter to the public, this thing was being sold without the public knowledge. Unfortunately, there are some few members of parliament who are aware of it, but they decided to go to bed with the foreign buyers. You know that? So the foreign buyers are giving us the price that they can manage, so that they buy and own the shares.
Wow.
What we are asking for is make the purchasers public. I mean the buyers, make them public. And what is surprising, when Kenyans are asking questions about who is buying these stuffs, it is the sellers who are responding on behalf of the buyers. You've heard just President Ruto here throwing tantrums and making Kenyans look like they are stupid to ask questions. So if you are not the one buying, why can't the buyers themselves come and defend themselves? Why is it that the seller is now coming to defend the buyers? Then it means that it's the person selling technically is a foreign buyer.
Okay, no, that one we cannot assume that. Yeah,
But it has to be clarified,
that is an assumption, but it is quite important that now the government comes out and puts things clear, because I think that is what Kenyans want so far. So I think we've just done justice to that. But I have an assignment. I will have to go and
the
look
current
for...
company is called Infrastructure Corporation of Africa from
Yes.
United Arab Emirates, which currently owns 60% of that particular telecom company. And that transaction was done in 2023. I cannot come on a national radio and say something that I don't know.
Okay. Where was Dindi then?
So that's a very interesting conversation that has also been brought.
Where was Dindi then?
Because yes, we must be able to question that when the transaction by telecom for telecom was taking place. And remember that the historical context to it. The transaction for telecom has not just taken place this time. I've told you that during Kibaki time, it was being done for strategic investment. And in fact, the good thing about the one for Kibaki time was that there was already an agreement in terms of what kind of infrastructure these guys were going to bring in place to be able to make Orange at the time competitive. Now, remember, it was going to be renamed Orange because remember, Orange were the ones investing.
Yes.
Okay? But the real politics at the time was that if telecom at the time was going to be strengthened as it was supposed to be, the competitive advantage that it was going to offer to Safaricom at the time was a threat. And especially remember, during the IPO, majority of the people who are shareholders in Safaricom were actually majority of them are our politicians. So at the time, the conversation, there was frustration at the time because they felt that it would threaten Safaricom. Fast forward, during Uhuru's time, again, they made sale. And I think it was made to a French company or something, I'm not sure, but they made the sale once again during Uhuru's time. No. I mean, Uhuru's time, they purchased it back.
Yes.
They purchased it back from these guys. And so the conversation around the time also was to also again try to empower it within the government structures. So the government during Uhuru's time actually had this owned 100%.
Okay.
Now, during President Ruto's time, I'm telling you, the guys from United Arab Emirates again took control of this. They are now they are the ones owning telecom 60%, and the government of Kenya owns it 40%.
Wow.
So you've asked a very critical question. That
where was the whistleblower?
Why did the likes of Ndinyoro at the time?
That time, yeah.
Talk about the sale of telecom, and now they're talking about the sale of Safaricom.
Okay.
Let me wind up by saying this: the ordinary Kenyan does not. There's a very serious miscommunication that we're having. When you use the word like sell Safaricom, okay, that is the wording there is not really correct.
Yes.
We're not selling Safaricom. Of course, the government is selling the stakes.
It's shares in, yes.
Personally, if you asked me my opinion, the world is not ending today, and the government, I don't think, should be selling its stake in Safaricom, because this is a stake that is already giving us between 15 to 20 billion to support our budget every year. And I don't think if the world is ending that we should be just doing away with that particular revenue.
We are moving to Singapore.
No.
Maybe
No.
we are leaving the country.
So the point
so
is,
we have to sell everything.
Actually, the point is we can no longer borrow. You understand?
Yes,
we can no longer
correctly.
borrow.
So I saw yesterday. Was it yesterday or the other day? The Moody's have moved Kenya a bit favorably in terms of our credit space, and I don't know the factors behind it, but you are right. And when you talk about economic conversation versus political conversation, it is right. It is correct that Kenyans should understand that when you talk about the economic conversation, the country is in a bad place.
Yeah.
And we are going to see this clearly and properly. My projections are in 2033, when we are going to see a lot of very many. We might go the Ghana way. All indicators point to that, and we must not sugarcoat about this. The decisions that are being made, even those who are pro the sale. It is like you in your house. You have a television, which probably people come to watch and give you some money for frequency, right? Then you decide that, listen, instead of now receiving this money for frequency every weekend when people are watching football, let me sell the whole TV. you know, it's a wrong precedence that we are setting. But more critically, the country is not telling us where these funds are going to. Remember, in this sale of Safaricom, already tumeshapatiwa some 40 billion as down payment. The money
is going to the infrastructure fund.
No, again we are.
I think
I don't want to talk too much.
No, I don't why he wants to sell.
I don't know how to talk. I don't want myself to talk too much because I have my sister and my brother here. But I want the country to understand that as we speak here today, and today is on 31st of January 2026, there is nothing in Kenya called the infrastructure fund.
There's nothing. It was proposed,
let us be very clear.
It didn't go through.
Yes.
So in short, what we are having, you said I should give you the political view. I'm glad my brother is here and is breaking it down. From the political angle, the infrastructural fund was a proposal which did not see the light of the day. But because of the egocentric nature of the regime, they went ahead to make it look like it's existing. Now they are talking about taking Safaricom sale into the infrastructural fund, which does not exist. That's why we are asking who is selling Safaricom and who is buying Safaricom, because we are likely to be in a situation where the whole sale will go into an individual account.
Well, okay, I think that is fair enough. I have Rose on the line. I also have Oduor George also on the line. I don't know whether you want to contribute anything, George or Otieno and Rose.
George has disappeared again.
Yes, Rose, you can go ahead.
Thank you so much, Trisha. The only contribution that I'm going to make about this is these are on privatization talks, and it was not only on Safaricom but also Kenya Pipeline. And the government's plan was initially to sell 15% of its stake, reducing state ownership to roughly 20%. And this part of the plan was to raise funds for national projects, the ongoing national project that was on infrastructure, I guess, if I'm getting my facts right, and also social welfare. And some of these shares may go to private investors, but there is also an opportunity for ordinary Kenyans to buy into one of the country's most profitable companies. So I've heard my colleagues talking about the general public is not well aware of what is happening in the ground, and I highly concur with them. I attended a public participation, and Honorable John Buddy was the one explaining to the public. And honestly, Trisha, I felt like the public participation at that particular case was managed. People do not really understand what is happening in the country. Honestly, yes, he explained it very well, but the public participation, it is managed. And I feel like this should be a wake-up call to Kenyans to really delve into this privatization talks so that Kenyans, even at the grassroots level, can really understand what is happening. Because this will even happen with what happened with the last finance bill that people protested against. They said public participation took place, but in real sense, it was managed. So on the privatization talks, the public participation should be really, really rigorous, and even the common wananchi should understand what is happening so that they can give their contributions. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you, Ross, for that contribution. I think we lost George, but I hope he will be joining back. And if he has any contribution, of course, we're going to allow him to share it with us. So this is Radio Generation, the home of hard truths and bold insights. The program that you're listening to is the Generation Report that comes every Saturday from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. And here we dive into all the big stories that happened in the course of the week. We give them different perspectives, like because we have experts in this conversation that who are helping us give it a different perspective from maybe what you are used to. And one thing that I'm just so happy today. Yeah, Okite here, Linus, has really explained that whole the story of the sale of the 15% shares of the government from Safaricom. So, which is quite important, and it is important that Kenyans get to understand what is really happening. You see, okay, ukisikiza rais akizungumza, pia ukisikiza viongozi wengine wakizungumza, pengine it is quite clear that maybe they may not be having this financial expertise that that Okita, you have really shown right here. So George, you are back. Karibu sana bwana George Otieno. Unatupata?
Good evening. Unanipata vizuri?
Tutakupata kabisa.
Yes, I can get you loud and clear. Do you get me loud and clear?
Kabisa.
Kwanza poleni sana. Thanks. Sorry for the network issues, but yes. I'm calling from Mombasa. I'm just had you speak about the issues of I think it's shares, Safaricom shares.
Yes.
Am I right?
True. You're right.
Yes. Now, recently, the MP for Kiharu, yes, recently the MP for Kiharu Ndindi Nyoro came to Mombasa.
Yes.
And actually he laid bare about that issue. Mm-hmm. There's a pertinent question that he raised. Why is it that the government has just had one, like we said, well, let me put it in simple terms, as a buyer, which is Vodacom or Vodafone, the who have shares at Safaricom. Why didn't the government float it to even other international companies that so that maybe it can attract even a higher bid? Mm-hmm. According to Ndindi Nyoro, yes. And I tend to agree with him, it is a bad deal. You're going to get a single sale that, no, I'm selling to this guy. Mm. Why can't you float it? Let it be known by everybody. Let it be known. There's somebody who can give a better deal than the one we are getting. And actually, if you calculated, he said, he gave us very simple mathematics that day, that the government could even get more than what it's currently hoping to get by these shares to.
Okay. Are you still there?
UK and a South African company. So it left a lot of question marks. Are you still there? Yes, I'm still here. If you can get me.
Yeah.
Can you get me?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. So I was saying that there's a lot of question mark on this issue of selling Safaricom shares. The government should actually find the highest bidder. We do not have to rush. Kenya is not going anywhere. Let's not rush to making bad deals, bad decisions.
Okay. Thank you.
Believe you me, Tricia, and Radio Generation, there are people who have money out here. Safaricom is a very, 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 very viable company in East and Central Africa as we speak, in terms of even shareholding, in terms of even a return on investment, in terms of the profit they make. It's enormous. You cannot just throw shares away like that. No, that one, I totally associate myself with the comments by Ndindi Nyoro, the MP for Kiharu. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much. Well, this comment I got from I was with somebody from the government, and that day they said looking at what we are heading to. That is the elections, the 2027 general elections. Most of the time, the shares the prices tend to drop. When we are towards election, and especially when it is in a country whereby we've been seeing a political instability, especially during the election time. So that is also a factor. They were saying that they were considering that tunaelekea 2027 wakati wa elections, and that is the time when most investors tend to shy away from the country. So they were saying towards that time and immediately after the elections, most of the time you cannot get that good deal from from investors outside.
That's not a serious person.
That's a fake.
Let me just put this for our listeners. At the NSC advisory level, we talk about already listed companies.
Yes.
That politician could be right in terms of people who are seeking to invest in the country. People who are seeking to put their money in the country and make any investments do not usually make a lot of investments towards politics because of the uncertainties and political instability that might come with it, which then would derail the process of that particular investment. Okay? But when I talk about an already listed company, there are very many factors that influence the investment patterns. Of course, international inflows into the NSC is a factor, but serious investors, now remember, these are investors who invest for investment but not invest for trading. So then, for them, they are not concerned about the immediate fluctuations. They're looking at it in terms of
long term. Yes.
Right?
Okay.
So, again, our viewers need to listen that when we're making investments in the NSC, usually there is a difference between those who make investments to trade
for short term and
those who invest to those who are investing as investors. So those are people who are not cowed down by small political seasons. They look at the viability of the company. And as I told you, the viability of the company is looked at in terms of its financial ratios, the financial statement, and then the operational activities that then point to, because now they have to look at the strategy of the company, then they then have to look at it in terms of now the financial outcomes of the moment vis-a-vis the operational strategy. How then would it then influence the future outcomes? So those ones are modelings that now experts like us do, and we are able to then be able to give you a predictive analysis as to how much do we expect, say, Safaricom to be aware at whatever time.
I would like us to continue with more conversations, but I'm seeing we are running short of time, and actually right now we have 10 minutes remaining, and for these 10 minutes remaining, I would just want us to look at this also one pertinent issue that has been all over our social media places, our media platforms, and this about the 12 billion scandal in the SHA. SHA, yeah. So the CS, Cabinet Secretary Aden Duale, you heard what he said about the SHA, and again, what I want to just to ask, because it is something that we had started with when we were starting this conversation with my colleague, we talked about what SHA was supposed to come and solve. Yeah? What SHA had come to fill: the loopholes, the corruption, the systemic issues at NHIF. And here we have right now talking about 21 billion lost within a period of how long? Since SHA came in place. Yeah, so now the questions are, did we jump out of there? Is it into the fire? That is the question that I'm posing to you, my colleagues. So, and I will start with Ross had contributed then. Maybe, George, if you have anything to say about this 21 billion scandal in SHA, maybe you can give us a submission around that.
Thank you so much, Tricia. Just before I make my last comment on this, the SHA issue, there's a point you had made earlier that there are some professionals who said, we are heading to elections are near. So what is the hurry for? Are the roads going anywhere? Let's wait until elections, then we can sell our shares. I leave you at that. Okay. Let's go to SHA.
Yes.
When President Ruto promised that he was going to revamp NHIF, we knew that at NHIF, of course, there are thefts, there are what, but not at this magnitude. In fact, what is that the president would just have made some overhaul of the NHIF, and we remain with the NHIF. But SHA is a white elephant. SHA is just there to be milked dry.
Mm-hmm.
So surprising that in less than a year, we've lost 11 billion shillings. Even if you look at statistics, even when NHIF started, we've not lost that amount. This is horrendous. This is horrendous. We are making people rich. We are making people rich at the expense of Kenyans who cannot even afford a paracetamol. 11 billion is
Okay, George, ni kama tunakupoteza. Are you still there?
I said, yes, if you use 100,000 shillings, if you use 100,000 every single day.
Yes.
Yes, I hope you're getting me.
Yes.
Hello?
Tunakupata.
I'm saying there's this analogy about 100,000 shillings every day. Even at our age, maybe we would go to heaven without finishing that money. But these guys, in less than a year, they have siphoned 11 billion. That is a crime scene. It should be taped. That's a crime scene.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Crime scene, serious one.
Okay, thank you, George. Thank you. So, Ross, do you have anything to add?
I think the only thing that I'm going to add in regards to the SHA scandal and the billions that were lost the other day is that the problem that we have in our systems is accountability. That is what we have, because each and every time the cabinet secretary is questioned on the allegedly lost, the billion shillings that are lost, he is not straight. In fact, he diverts and he gets into the bush. And you see, as you initially asked, is it that we got into a frying pan? Well, my point is yes. We transited from NHIF to SHA to eradicate the corruption cases. But day by day, the corruption cases are just getting worse and worse. And you see, the people who are paying for this are us, as the general public, are the Kenyans. We are the ones who are paying for this. So, when it comes to SHA, the problem is corruption. We're dealing with that leadership deficit.
Okay.
And it's high time we change to that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ross. So let's get to Babu. You have 1 minute, 1.5 minutes. Same to Linus, so that now we can call it a day.
Thank you so much, Tricia. On the issue of SHA, I would start by saying that Duale ought to have been arrested by now. We should be talking as Duale is somewhere in committee because of this issue. SHA was put in place on 1st of October 2024. Between that time and now, we've lost a lot of money. And on top of that, we've seen serious nepotism in terms of recruitment. One, Mr. Duale ought to be arrested by now. Most on this 11 billion. Let me tell you, Kenya is not a poor country. Kenya is just a looted nation. And unfortunately, since this scandal of SHA came up, the president has not come out to say anything. The CS is running around like a headless chicken, throwing tantrums and not giving any concrete information. The PS is now silent as if they don't exist. The CEO of SHA has not even said anything. To them, that does not matter. We are getting more agitated on this matter because it is not the money that has been lost. It is the lives of Kenyans who are dying at Kenyatta Hospital because of lack of medicine. Machines are not functional. We are talking about, we are pained by the chemotherapy, cancer patients who cannot be treated. What is saddening us is cancer patients who cannot undergo screening. And somebody somewhere, just 4 gentlemen, have decided to squander 11 billion. Tricia, let me tell you, if 11 billion was to be put in use maybe in building hospitals. For us to have level 5 hospital fully furnished, it will cost us about 2.2 billion statistically, because it's 1.7 billion construction and 0.5 million equipment. 2.2 billion. Then that means if we invested this 11 billion in hospital construction, we would have up to 5 level 5 hospitals fully functional. So when you say that 11 billion has disappeared in the ministry, from SHA, and nobody is coming out to explain, then it means that Duale and his boys have actually swallowed 5 level 5 hospitals.
Okay.
Just to land on it, just to wrap up.
Your time is up.
Let me wrap up.
Yes.
If you look at this money put into building cancer screening centers, those are about 55 centers at a cost of 200 million. And lastly, which is so sad, in this country we only have 4 screening centers, and of the 4, 3 are privately owned, and of the 4, all of them are in Nairobi. So from Turkana to Busia border, from Kisumu to Saikuru, we only have 4. But in the same country, somebody cannot come out to explain why we are losing 11 billion in one project. Duale must be arrested.
Okay, thank you. That is your submission. Just finish up as we wind up.
I think on the side, the issue is, I agree with my brother that Duale is too arrogant for that. The way he has addressed it is not that for a national leader. It's very important that we take matters that are of national importance with a lot of seriousness, and that also just demonstrates deficit in leadership right from the highest level in terms of entertaining such kind of leaders when they just make casual statements regarding national issues. So I think my submission is that the matter of SHA, we need to seriously be genuine when it comes to handling things that really matter to this country.
Okay.
The president has to call his house in order so that we really get a different approach that befits the leadership of the country.
Okay, thank you so much. So thank you to my contributors, Jojo Tieno, Ross, and also Professor. Thank you also to my guest here, Linus Okite, and also Babu. Ken, thank you so much for making your time to come and have this conversation right here with us. Thank you to the dear viewers and also listeners for choosing the Generation Report right here at Radio Generation. Thank you so much. My name is Tricia Wayu.